The 36-year-old landlady of mine. My landlord is 36 years old. She doesn't have the timidity and innocence of an 18-year-old girl, nor the beauty of a 23-year-old woman, but she has mature charm and a 10-year-old child. The moment we rented the house, our story began. Chapter 1, Overtime. In the meeting room at South Country Industrial Technology Park. Leuren, can you do this? If you can't, then get out. Wei Dongqiang said, slamming a folder onto Leuren's chest. Supervisor, I'm sorry, Leuren pleaded, lowering his head. With his current financial situation, he could not afford to lose this job. It was one he had fought hard to get. Leuren had been working here for over a year. During this time, he had worked diligently, doing his best, and had never made any mistakes. His head hung low, face flushed with embarrassment. He never expected that his usually kind supervisor would snap at him like this. Do you realize how important this contract is? If you mess it up, the whole project could fall apart. And if it fails, both you and I could be fired. Other colleagues in the office peeked through their window, watching the scene with strange looks on their faces. I'm sorry, supervisor. Please give me another chance. I'll try my best, Leuren said, gritting his teeth and lowering his voice. Wei Dongqiang snorted, turned to leave, but then paused, remembering something. He walked back and gently patted Leuren's shoulder. All right, I shouldn't have lost my temper. Stay late tonight and finish this contract. Leuren sighed with relief. He had been afraid his supervisor would fire him, which would mean his career was over. Don't worry, supervisor. I'll make sure the contract is done, Leuren said, lifting his head and putting on a smile, his eyes filled with determination. Good. Work hard and don't let me down, Wei Dongqiang nodded and turned to leave. Just as he walked out of the office, he saw a few employees eavesdropping by the door. His face turned dark, and he quickly walked over, kicking one male employee who was standing nearby. Get back to work, he yelled. The employees, startled, quickly ran back to their desks. Wei Dongqiang returned to his office, closed the curtains, locked the door, and pulled out a second phone from his drawer. He lit a cigarette, filling the room with smoke as he inhaled deeply. Hello, what's up? A sweet voice came through the phone. It was Wei Dongqiang's mistress. I've asked Leuren to stay late tonight. We can really indulge ourselves now. Sounds good, the sweet voice replied, hanging up. A wicked smile appeared on Wei Dongqiang's face. Meanwhile, Leuren sat at his desk, opening the folder and staring at the crumpled documents. He felt anxious, but as he thought about his girlfriend waiting for him at home, he took a sip of water to calm himself. He began seriously reviewing the documents in front of him. This was a major project, involving many aspects. If he couldn't finish it, he would be fired. He couldn't afford to lose this job, so he had to give his all. As he carefully checked for errors in the contract, Wei Dongqiang glanced at the time. He was getting ready to leave for the day. He stood up, stretched, and walked toward the elevator. Soon after, the other employees left for the day as well. Leuren checked the time. It was already 7 p.m. He decided to go downstairs to buy instant noodles and sausages, then return to continue working. Just as he left the office, Wei Dongqiang came back, placed some documents next to Leuren's water cup, and opened the window facing the wind. Once he finished, he left the office and took the service elevator to the basement parking lot. His goal was to delay Leuren's departure. Leuren went downstairs, bought instant noodles and sausages, and after preparing the food, he returned to the office. As soon as he entered, a gust of wind blew in, making him shiver. He placed the noodles and sausages on his desk and went to close the window. When he returned, he found his water cup had spilled onto the contract and nearby documents, and there was a footprint on them. Panicking, Leuren quickly picked up the scattered papers and saw that the contract was now torn. His heart ached as he quickly grabbed a tissue to wipe it, hoping it wouldn't get damaged. After cleaning the papers, he flipped through them to find the damage. Oh! Leuren exclaimed suddenly. While flipping through the pages, he had accidentally cut his finger on a shard of the broken cup. Thankfully, the cut wasn't too deep. He wrapped his finger with a tissue, then sat back down to continue working. Looking at the damaged documents, he sighed deeply. His heart heavy, he gathered the papers and walked to the shredder. Starting over again. Leuren chuckled bitterly. He pulled out his phone and sent a message to Huang Shanshan. I'm staying late tonight. If you're hungry, just order takeout. And don't forget to feed the cat. I've already put the cat food in the bowl for you. After sending the message, Leuren sighed and placed his phone aside. He picked up the documents again and began redrafting the contract. At home, Wang Shanshan had already changed into her pink pajamas. Holding a glass of wine, she sat on the couch, watching TV, waiting for Wei Dongqiang's arrival. She was already a little impatient. Ding-ling. Just then, the doorbell rang. Wang Shanshan immediately got up to answer the door. When she opened it, Wei Dongqiang stood there with a rose in his mouth and a gift in hand. He walked inside. Darling, I got you a new phone, Wei Dongqiang said, handing her the phone. Wang Shanshan took the phone with a smile, and her heart filled with joy. She stood on her tiptoes and kissed him on the cheek. Thank you, she said shyly. Wei Dongqiang entered the room and saw a photo of Leuren and Wang Shanshan together. He quickly closed the album and, putting his arm around Wang Shanshan, walked toward the couch. Leuren, seeing that Wang Shanshan had not replied to his message, took out his phone and called her. The phone rang twice before she answered, and Wang Shanshan signaled for Wei Dongqiang to stay silent. Hello. I'm staying late tonight. I might be back late. You'll have to have dinner by yourself, and don't forget to feed the cat. Got it, Wang Shanshan replied obediently. Okay, bye. Leuren hung up the phone. Wang Shanshan put her phone down and turned to Wei Dongqiang with a smile. Thank you for the gift, I'm really happy. It's nothing, Wei Dongqiang said, reaching out and lightly tapping the bridge of her nose with a mischievous grin. Chapter 2 Wang Shanshan is not at home. After the two of them were intimate, they looked at the time and it was already past 2 in the morning. Wei Dongqiang looked at Wang Shanshan lying in his arms, his face full of happiness and sweetness. He stroked the hair that was blocking Wang Shanshan's cheek, and raised the corner of his mouth slightly. Shanshan, you are so beautiful. Wang Shanshan snorted softly, closed her eyes and immersed herself in it. Shanshan, are you hungry? Wei Dongqiang looked at Wang Shanshan beside him and asked. Wei Dongqiang was stunned, then laughed. Come on, put on your clothes and I will take you to eat delicious food. Okay, but we have to clean up the room, otherwise it will be bad if Leuren comes back and finds something, Wang Shanshan said with a smile. Well, let's clean it up together. After saying that, Wei Dongqiang put on his clothes, walked to the bed and opened the curtains, took the paper towel on the table and wiped the table, and looked around again. Seeing that there was nothing unusual in the room, he left with peace of mind. Let's go, Shanshan. Wei Dongqiang came to Wang Shanshan. Well, okay. Wang Shanshan responded. The two walked out of the room, closed the door and walked downstairs with the garbage. After throwing the garbage into the trash can, Wei Dongqiang took Wang Shanshan's hand and went to the underground garage, drove her out of the community. Where are we going to eat? Sitting in the co-pilot, Wang Shanshan looked at Wei Dongqiang and asked. What do you want to eat? I'll take you there, Wei Dongqiang asked. Then I'll take you to eat steak. Okay, Wang Shanshan nodded. Wei Dongqiang drove to the most expensive Western restaurant nearby. After the two arrived, they sat directly by the window. The waiter came up and handed the menu to them. 2 steaks, 2 black pepper steaks, and a bottle of wine. Wei Dongqiang said to the waiter. Okay, sir. The waiter responded and retreated. At this time, Wei Dongqiang's cell phone rang. He took a look and saw that it was the tigress at home calling. Shanshan, I'll answer the phone. After saying that, Wei Dongqiang stood up and walked to the side to answer the phone. Hello, what's wrong with my wife? Wei Dongqiang quickly pressed the answer button and asked. You still know that I'm your wife, why haven't you come back yet? Have you found another woman again? The sarcastic voice of Wei Dongqiang's wife Sunshin came from the other end of the phone. No, I'm working overtime and I won't be back until later today. Wei Dongqiang explained patiently. Overtime? Sunshin sneered from the other end of the phone and said sarcastically, Wei Dongqiang, you're just lying to a 3-year-old child. Why are you working overtime at this time? Did you find a little goblin outside? Hearing this, Wei Dongqiang frowned. Really not, okay, I'll tell you later. After saying that, he hung up the phone and turned his head to look at Wang Shanshan. Then he sorted out his thoughts and returned to his seat. Shanshan, there was something at the company just now, so I called you. I've dealt with it and it's all right now. Wei Dongqiang said to Huang Shanshan beside him. Huang Shanshan hummed lightly and didn't care. Wei Dongqiang breathed a sigh of relief. After a while, the waiter brought steak and red wine. Come on, Shanshan. Wei Dongqiang helped Huang Shanshan cut a piece of beef and put it on the plate, and then served her a glass of red wine and handed it over. Try it. Hum. Huang Shanshan responded, opened her mouth and took a bite, slowly savoring it. Lin Yun stretched his waist, looked at the documents on the table, and rubbed his temples. He picked up the contract and flipped through it. These documents were all about cooperation with Chinju Group, which involved many aspects of details. He only dealt with half of it. Lin Yun sighed, I really don't know when I can get it done. This Chinju Group is really difficult to deal with. Lin Yun looked at the contract in his hand and said distressedly. Are you worried that the cooperation with Chinju will fail? The sudden voice startled Lin Yun. Lin Yun was startled by the sudden voice. Lin Yun, what are you doing? I am scared to death by such a big reaction. The person who spoke was Xu Qingya. Sister, it's 3 o'clock in the morning now. It's scary to speak suddenly. You don't even make footsteps when you walk. By the way, when did you come back? Lin Yun looked at Xu Qingya and asked. I just got off the plane and came back to get something. I didn't expect there was someone in the office. Xu Qingya explained. Oh, so that's it. Lin Yun responded. Xu Qingya took the contract in Lin Yun's hand and flipped through it. After reading it, she said. There is no problem with the terms of the contract. Let's get off work early. After that, she put the contract in Wang Li's arms. Thank you, Lin Yun said, looking at Xu Qingya. What are you polite about? Xu Qingya replied lightly and walked to her workstation. Lin Yun decided to go off work. He put the documents in the drawer, cleaned up the instant noodles on the table, threw them into the trash can, washed his face, returned to his seat, put on his clothes and prepared to leave. Xu Qingya took the drawer and walked to Lin Yun. By the way, have you eaten? Not really, I just ate a bucket of instant noodles. Aren't you afraid of stomachache? Xu Qingya looked at Lin Yun and said. It's okay. Let's go, I'm on this business trip thanks to your help, I'll treat you to a meal. Xu Qingya looked at Lin Yun and said with a smile. No, thank you. Lin Yun refused. He thought he had promised Huang Shanshan not to eat with the opposite sex. Okay, I just want to treat you to a meal and express my gratitude by the way, so don't refuse. Xu Qingya looked at Lin Yun and said. Then I'll make a call, wait for me to get off. After saying that, Lin Yun took out his mobile phone and dialed Huang Shanshan's number. But Huang Shanshan didn't answer the call, so Lin Yun had to put the phone back in his pocket. He thought Shanshan must have fallen asleep. Let's go, where to eat? Lin Yun looked at Xu Qingya and asked. I'll accompany you no matter what you want to eat. You're treating me to dinner today, so tell me. Xu Qingya said. The only place open at this time is the barbecue stall. Let's go eat barbecue. Lin Yun suggested. Xu Qingya smiled and said, okay, let's go there. After saying that, she turned and walked towards the elevator, and he quickly followed her. Lin Yun and Xu Qingya chatted all their way until they reached the barbecue stall. They ordered a few special stir-fries at the barbecue stall. He took out a cigarette box, lit a cigarette, and took a deep breath. Why, you smoke? Xu Qingya looked at Lin Yun in confusion. Lin Yun nodded, yeah. But I remember you didn't smoke before, Xu Qingya looked at Lin Yun and said. That's because I don't like the smell of cigarettes, but smoking is good now. I think smoking can also relieve stress. Lin Yun said with a smile. Xu Qingya smiled and didn't say anything else. Wei Dongqiang hugged Huang Shanshan and put her on the bed. She hugged Wei Dongqiang's neck and whispered in his ear. Chapter 3, Wei Dongqiang's Call. After Xu Qingya finished paying the bill, she left first. Lin Yun looked at the leftover barbecue on the table and asked the boss for a takeout box to pack the uneaten food. He decided to bring it back for Huang Shanshan. He walked out of the barbecue shop and hailed a taxi. Driver, take me to Dingxing Longcheng, Lin Yun instructed. Okay. The driver replied. In just a few minutes, Lin Yun arrived at the entrance of Dingxing Longcheng. After paying the fare, he walked into the neighborhood and, standing at the door, took out his key and opened the door. He placed the barbecue on the table. Lin Yun turned on the living room lights, took off his clothes, and quietly walked to the bedroom. When he saw that the curtains were open, he switched on the light and found that Wang Shanshan wasn't home. Huh? Where is she? Lin Yun muttered, puzzled. He took out his phone and called Wang Shanshan. The phone rang for a long time, but Wang Shanshan didn't pick up. Wei Dongqiang, drenched in sweat, moved away from her and took a few breaths. Wang Shanshan grabbed the phone from the nightstand, saw the missed calls from Lin Yun, and after collecting her thoughts, she called him back, pretending to just wake up. Hello, did you get off work and head home? Wang Shanshan asked. Yeah, I brought you some barbecue, but you're not home, so I ended up eating it myself. By the way, where did you go? Lin Yun asked, concerned. You said you weren't coming back tonight, and I was scared to sleep alone, so I went to my best friend's place. Don't you trust me? Do you think I'm lying? Wang Shanshan responded with a playful tone. That's not what I meant. I trust you. Go ahead and sleep, Lin Yun said. Millimeter, good night then. Bye. Wang Shanshan ended the call. She lay in Wei Dongqiang's arms, closed her eyes, and felt the warmth of his body. Baby, should we continue? Wei Dongqiang whispered, lightly nibbling on Wang Shanshan's earlobe. No, I'm too tired. Let us sleep. You have work tomorrow, Wang Shanshan declined. Wei Dongqiang kissed her on the lips, held her in his arms, and didn't dare to do anything more. The two of them cuddled together and quickly fell asleep. Lin Yun placed the barbecue in the fridge, took a shower, and lay on the bed, tossing and turning, unable to sleep. Wang Shanshan was his first love. They had met in high school and later attended the same university. They had been together for 8 years. This year, Lin Yun brought up the topic of marriage, but Wang Shanshan didn't respond. However, Lin Yun knew she had feelings for him. As long as they kept loving each other, he believed that one day she would agree. But now Wang Shanshan suddenly told him that she had gone to her best friend's house and didn't come home for the night, which made him feel a bit worried. He thought about it for a while but couldn't come to any conclusion. Lin Yun thought he was just overthinking it. They had known each other for so long without any issues, and there shouldn't be any now. Maybe they were both just busy, or perhaps Wang Shanshan had something important to do. After thinking for a long time, Lin Yun finally fell asleep in a daze. The next morning, Lin Yun arrived at the office early. After having breakfast, he took the contract and walked to Wei Dongqiang's office. He knocked on the door, waiting for Wei Dongqiang to say come in. But there was no response. Lin Yun opened the door and found that Wei Dongqiang wasn't there. He decided to wait a while before returning. However, just as Lin Yun was about to leave, he heard the phone in Wei Dongqiang's drawer ring. He walked over, opened the drawer, and took out the phone. When he saw who was calling, he answered it. Hello, Mr. Wei is not here. Is there something you need me to pass on? Lin Yun asked. Hearing Lin Yun's voice, Wang Shanshan was startled and immediately hung up the phone. Lin Yun looked at his phone in confusion. Why was the other person silent right after he answered? How strange. Who was that? It felt like she was avoiding me, Lin Yun thought. After thinking for a moment, Lin Yun couldn't figure it out and didn't dwell on it. He put the phone back in the drawer and returned to his desk. Wang Shanshan breathed a sigh of relief, thankful she hadn't spoken. If she had, Lin Yun might have discovered everything. Sitting at her desk, Wang Shanshan saw Wei Dongqiang walking over. As soon as Lin Yun saw him, he stood up, holding the contract, and followed Wei Dongqiang into his office. Good morning, supervisor. This is the contract I worked on last night. I've checked it and there are no issues. When should we go to sign the contract with Chinju Group? Lin Yun asked respectfully, handing the contract to Wei Dongqiang. Wei Dongqiang nodded, took the contract, and looked it over for about 5 minutes. He then raised his head and said to Lin Yun, go ahead and sign it today. Okay, supervisor. Lin Yun took the contract, turned, and left the office. However, Wei Dongqiang called him back. Wait, I saw Xu Qingye returned. Have her go with you to Chinju Group, it'll be more secure that way, Wei Dongqiang said. I understand. I'll go now. Lin Yun nodded and turned to walk to Xu Qingye's desk. Xu Jie, could you come with me to Chinju Group? The supervisor said he'd feel more at ease if you're there. Lin Yun said. Sure, no problem. Xu Qingye answered cheerfully. Okay, let us go now. Lin Yun said as he grabbed his bag and headed towards the stairs, with Xu Qingye following closely behind. The two took a taxi, with Lin Yun sitting in the back and Xu Qingye in the front passenger seat, heading towards Qinju Group. Qinju Group was only a 10-minute drive from Nanguo Industrial, but it was located in the southern part of the city, in the suburbs. Qinju Group was the largest conglomerate in He City and one of the top global search engine companies. It was involved in many industries such as real estate, construction, finance, tourism, and catering, with a vast influence in He City. It also had many subsidiaries. On their way, Lin Yun and Xu Qingye chatted and learned that Qinju Group had many subsidiaries, such as those in network security. When they arrived at Qinju Group, Lin Yun followed the signs to the correct floor. Meanwhile, Wang Shanshan called Wei Dongqiang's other number. The phone was quickly answered. What's wrong, Shanshan? Your wallet is with me. You forgot to take it. Also, why did Lin Yun answer your phone? I'm glad I didn't speak, or else he would have found out about us, Wang Shanshan complained. Just leave the wallet with you for now. By the way, what's the last digit of the number that Lin Yun called? Wei Dongqiang asked. It's your number, the one ending in 4393, Wang Shanshan said, providing the number she called. I got it. I'll be more careful. And feel free to use the cards in the wallet, Wei Dongqiang said. Millimeter, thank you, Dongqiang. Wang Shanshan hung up the phone. Chapter 4 Contract Signing. After hanging up the phone, Wang Shanshan put Wei Dongqiang's wallet in her crossbody bag, and he took a taxi back home. Lin Yun followed Xu Qingye to the office of the general manager of Qinju Group. Hello, Mr. Li, Lin Yun greeted while standing in front of the desk. Mr. Li, who was sitting in his office chair, looked up at Lin Yun and Xu Qingye standing there, nodded and said, well, please take a seat and wait for me for a moment. Lin Yun and Xu Qingye sat on the sofa respectively, and Mr. Li went to the tea room to make tea. After a while, he came out of the tea room with 3 cups of steaming tea in his hands and placed one of them next to Lin Yun. Lin Yun took the teacup from Mr. Li with both hands and said, thank you. Har, you're welcome. Li Ting sat on the other side of the sofa, have some tea, both of you. Lin Yun picked up the teacup and took a sip of tea, praising, Mr. Li's tea-making skills are truly extraordinary. No, it's just that practice makes perfect when drinking tea. Mr. Li waved his hand modestly. Xu Qingye also picked up the teacup and tasted it gently. This tea is very fragrant. Li Ting was very happy to hear Xu Qingye praising his tea, and a hint of pride appeared on his face. You are not here just to drink tea today, right? Li Ting took a sip of tea and asked slowly. Hearing Li Ting's question, Lin Yun also put down the teacup in his hand. Mr. Li is indeed smart. We are here to discuss cooperation on the piece of land in the western suburbs. Lin Yun did not beat around the bush and went straight to the point. Haven't we already discussed it almost completely before? This time I brought the contract for you to take a look. Lin Yun said and took out the documents from his bag and handed them over. Li Ting reached out and took the contract, opened it and read it carefully. After reading it several times, he nodded with satisfaction. Yes, your company is indeed as strong as anyone else, and it is also very capable in terms of business. I am very satisfied. I wonder what conditions you two have. Lin Yun shook his head and said, Boss Li, I hope we can reach an agreement as soon as possible without any conditions. Okay, let's sign the contract, Li Ting nodded. Then let us wish you a happy cooperation. Lin Yun stood up and shook hands with Li Ting, and then shook hands with Xu Qingye, happy cooperation. After signing the contract, Lin Yun took Xu Qingye and left Qinju Group. On their way, Lin Yun sent a message to Wei Dongqiang to tell him that he had signed the contract. After receiving the news, Wei Dongqiang decided to take the credit from Lin Yun, so he took out his cell phone and called the manager of the head office. Tell him the good news. On the phone, Wei Dongqiang told the general manager that he had reached a cooperation with the person in charge of the land in the western suburbs and had signed a contract. The general manager was very pleased to hear Wei Dongqiang's report. Not bad, you have done a very good job. Once the project starts to progress, I will give you a promotion and a raise. Thank you, general manager. After hanging up the phone, Wei Dongqiang felt secretly happy. The piece of land in the western suburbs is a piece of fat meat. As long as you swallow it, you will be able to enjoy the best of both worlds. Lin Yun and Xu Qingye returned to their company, and Lin Yun was called to the office by Wei Dongqiang. "Come on, sit down," Wei Dongqiang said with a smile when he saw Lin Yun coming. "Well done. I have already informed the superiors about your successful signing of the contract. I will give you a bonus of 10,000 yuan, which will be deposited into your account this afternoon." Wei Dongqiang patted Lin Yun's shoulder with a bright smile. Lin Yun was also very happy after hearing this. "Thank you for your cultivation, I will need your care in the future." "Well, don't worry, these are what we should do." "Okay, you go back to work first, I still have some things to deal with." Seeing that it was getting late, Wei Dongqiang asked Lin Yun to go back and prepare for work. Lin Yun nodded and left the office, returning to his seat. His hard work during this period finally paid off. Although he had not yet reached his goal, it was already very good. The most important thing was that he had a bonus. Lin Yun walked out of the office with an excited smile on his face. He got a bonus this time, and he couldn't wait to tell Huang Shanshan the good news to make her happy. After returning to the office, Lin Yun called Huang Shanshan. Huang Shanshan glanced at the screen and saw Lin Yun's number. She hesitated for a moment, but still pressed the answer button. "What's wrong?" Huang Shanshan said in a flat tone. "I got a bonus. I'll take you to buy the bag you've always wanted after get off work tonight." Lin Yun's voice was full of excitement, and he couldn't wait to tell Huang Shanshan the good news. After hearing Lin Yun's words, Huang Shanshan pretended to be excited. "Okay, thank you for your hard work, husband." Hearing Huang Shanshan's gentle voice, Lin Yun's heart was filled with joy. "It's not hard." Lin Yun's face was also full of a happy smile. "Then I'm going to work first. Remember to wait for me after get off work. I'll pick you up." "Yeah." After hanging up the phone, Lin Yun threw himself into work. Huang Shanshan felt annoyed after hanging up Lin Yun's phone call. She didn't know how to tell Lin Yun about her relationship with Wei Dongqiang. After thinking for a long time, Huang Shanshan decided not to confront Lin Yun for the time being. 8 years of relationship could not be let go just like that. After figuring this out, Huang Shanshan felt a lot calmer. Time passed quickly, and in the blink of an eye it was 6 o'clock in the evening. Lin Yun packed up his things and prepared to go off work. He just stood up from his chair and followed his colleagues to the elevator. After getting off the elevator, he walked to a nearby flower shop, bought some roses, took a taxi, and came to where Huang Shanshan worked. I looked at the time and it was already 7 o'clock. According to usual practice, Huang Shanshan should have come down by this time. Lin Yun was a little confused. Could it be that Huang Shanshan left work early today? That was impossible. If Huang Shanshan left work early, she should have called him and asked him to pick her up. Lin Yun took out his cell phone and planned to contact Huang Shanshan. Just as he was about to call Huang Shanshan came down with a colleague. Lin Yun put the phone back into his pocket and walked towards Huang Shanshan, who was walking down the stairs. "I'm here to pick you up." Lin Yun walked to Huang Shanshan with a smile. Lin Yun stuffed the roses into Huang Shanshan's arms. Huang Shanshan took the rose with a sweet smile on her face. "Thank you. By the way, let me introduce you to my colleague Sumoryu." Huang Shanshan pointed at the girl next to her. "Hello, I'm Lin Yun." Lin Yun greeted Sumoryu with a smile. Sumoryu smiled and took Huang Shanshan's arm. "Sister Shanshan, this boyfriend is quite handsome, better than before." When Huang Shanshan saw that Sumoryu was about to say Wei Dongqiang's name, she hurriedly walked to Lin Yun and took his arm, interrupting Sumoryu. "Let's go first. See you tomorrow," Huang Shanshan said, then she took Lin Yun's arm and walked towards the parked taxi. Chapter 5, The Men's Wallet in Her Bag. Lin Yun felt a little puzzled about Huang Shanshan's behavior, but he didn't think much about it. The two got into a taxi and the car drove away. Sumoryu looked at Lin Yun and Huang Shanshan's receding backs, a sneer appearing on the corner of his mouth. She thought to herself, "It seems that this handsome guy is Huang Shanshan's boyfriend. He interrupted me because he was afraid that he would find out the secret." Sumoryu was not stupid either. She noticed that Huang Shanshan had given Lin Yun a colorful hat. The two sat in the back seat without saying a word. For some reason, Lin Yun always felt that Huang Shanshan seemed to be hiding something from him. At this time, Huang Shanshan seemed a little absent-minded. Lin Yun couldn't help but ask, Shanshan, what's wrong with you? You seem to be worried about something. Lin Yun's sudden voice brought Wang Shanshan back to her senses. Wang Shanshan shook her head in panic and said, No. Oh. Lin Yun looked at Wang Shanshan and had a strange feeling in his heart. He saw the abnormal panic and uneasiness in Wang Shanshan's heart. At this time, he held Wang Shanshan's hand and said softly, Are you encountering any difficulties? Don't be afraid, I am here. Wang Shanshan felt warm in her heart when she heard Lin Yun's words. She looked at Lin Yun with tender eyes. It's not difficult. Lin Yun looked at Wang Shanshan's expression and became more and more confused. Am I really overthinking it? At this time, Wang Shanshan's cell phone rang. Wang Shanshan took out her phone and saw that it was her father calling. After answering the phone, Wang Shanshan asked, Dad, what's wrong? Is there anything wrong? Wang Jijun on the other end of the phone hesitated for a moment, and finally said, Shanshan, when are you going to marry Lin Yun? Wang Shanshan was stunned for a moment when she heard Wang Jijun's sudden question, and glanced at Lin Yun beside her. Then she said, Wait a little longer, Lin Yun and I are still young and want to work hard for a few more years. Okay. Wang Jijun said this and hung up the phone. What's wrong? Why did Uncle suddenly ask about this? Lin Yun asked, looking at the hesitation flashing on Wang Shanshan's face. He? Wang Shanshan looked at Lin Yun, seeming to be hesitant to speak, as if she was thinking about how to say it. Lin Yun smiled and said, What's wrong? Nothing, it's just that my dad asked us when we are going to get married, he wants to have a grandchild. Wang Shanshan looked at Lin Yun's smile and lowered her head in confusion. I respect you and will give you some time. After all, we have been together for 8 years. Let's go to the mall. I got a bonus today. I will buy you everything you like. Yeah. After hearing Lin Yun's words, Wang Shanshan felt warm in her heart, and she raised her head and looked at Lin Yun. The two walked side by side towards the mall, neither of them spoke, just walking quietly until they entered the mall. The two came to the clothing area, and Lin Yun picked out a piece of clothing for Wang Shanshan and handed it to her. Try it on. Yeah. Wang Shanshan stretched out her hands and took the dress from Lin Yun. Lin Yun watched Wang Shanshan enter the fitting room, and he stood outside waiting for Wang Shanshan. 10 minutes later, the door of the fitting room was opened, and a beautiful Wang Shanshan appeared in Lin Yun's sight. Lin Yun stared at Wang Shanshan, as if he dared not blink, for fear of missing a second. Wang Shanshan was also stunned when she saw the dress she was wearing. The dress looked beautiful when she wore it, but it didn't suit her. I don't think this dress suits me, Wang Shanshan said to Lin Yun. After hearing what Wang Shanshan said, Lin Yun's mouth curled up slightly and revealed a smile. It's okay, if it doesn't fit, you can change into something else. I like whatever you wear. Wang Shanshan felt very warm in her heart when she heard Lin Yun's words. Lin Yun looked at Wang Shanshan. Come on, I'll take you to another store. Wang Shanshan nodded, and walked to the other side of the store with Lin Yun. Is there anything you like? Lin Yun asked as he looked at the dazzling array of clothes in the store. Wang Shanshan looked at the dazzling array of clothes with her eyes full of admiration. Such a dazzling array of clothes would be tempting to any girl, but she also knew that these clothes were too expensive and not suitable for her. Lin Yun looked at Wang Shanshan's expression and guessed, we got a bonus today. It's okay. If you like it, we can buy it back. After hearing Lin Yun's words, Wang Shanshan lowered her head a little embarrassedly. I know. The two continued to walk towards other directions of the store and stopped by a shop window. Wang Shanshan looked at the things inside and said in surprise, Wow, this dress is so beautiful. Hearing Wang Shanshan's words, Lin Yun also turned his head and looked at the window. Inside the window is a blue dress, which is a fluffy style with lace on the bodice, rhinestones on the waist and a teardrop-shaped gem on the chest, which looks very gorgeous. The color of the dress is very pure, without any impurities, and it looks very comfortable. So beautiful. Wang Shanshan exclaimed. Do you like it? Lin Yun looked at Wang Shanshan. Wang Shanshan nodded vigorously. Lin Yun smiled and said, If you like it, let's buy this dress. Wang Shanshan was a little overwhelmed when she heard Lin Yun's words. She said uncertainly, Is your bonus enough to buy this dress? Don't worry, go and try on some clothes. After saying that, Lin Yun pushed Wang Shanshan into the fitting room. After Wang Shanshan entered the fitting room, Lin Yun was waiting outside. At this time, Huang Shanshan's cell phone rang. Lin Yun took her cell phone out of his bag and saw a group chat message in the pop-up window. Lin Yun took a look and saw that it was a message from Yang Shui, a member of the group. It was work-related. Lin Yun took a look and immediately closed it and put the phone into his bag, only to find a black man's wallet. He was about to open it to take a look when the door of the fitting room opened. Lin Yun quickly put his wallet away and looked up. A tall figure appeared in his sight. Huang Shanshan looked at herself in the mirror and was a little stunned. This dress was really beautiful and suited her temperament. How about it, does this dress look good? Huang Shanshan walked out of the fitting room. It looks good and suits you very well. Lin Yun looked at Huang Shanshan in front of him and did not hesitate to praise her. Huang Shanshan in front of him was like an elf. As long as you like it. Huang Shanshan looked at Lin Yun's face and said with a smile. Well, it suits you very well. Come on, let's go swipe the card. Lin Yun nodded, took Huang Shanshan's hand and left the mall. Chapter 6 Unknown Caller. After that, they bought a lot of things, and after paying, Lin Yun and Huang Shanshan returned home. Huang Shanshan put the things she bought in the cupboard and went to the living room, sat on the sofa, turned on the TV and started watching a romantic soap opera. Lin Yun came to the kitchen and looked back at Huang Shanshan. What do you want to eat? What else is in the refrigerator? Huang Shanshan asked. Also, spare ribs, eggs, chicken legs, tomatoes, green peppers, potatoes and cabbage. Then let's have some scrambled eggs with tomatoes, said Huang Shanshan. Okay, wait. After saying that, Lin Yun walked into the kitchen and started to get busy, but he also remembered the men's wallet in Huang Shanshan's bag, but he didn't have time to see who it belonged to. This made him feel a little uncomfortable and he began to make wild guesses. Is it possible that Huang Shanshan picked it up? Is it possible that she fell in love with someone else, and then? Thinking of this, Lin Yun suddenly stopped what he was doing, not knowing whether he should continue. Lin Yun put down the kitchen knife and prepared to start cooking. At this moment, Huang Shanshan's voice came into his ears. Lin Yun, I found a wallet while I was at work today, but I haven't had time to send it to the police station yet. After dinner, accompany me to the police station. Hearing this, Lin Yun stopped what he was doing and thought to himself, it's a good thing that he didn't ask Huang Shanshan why there was a men's wallet in her bag, otherwise he might have thought too much. Turning around, he looked at Huang Shanshan, and seeing her expectant look, Lin Yun nodded and agreed, okay, I'll go with you after dinner. Yeah. Huang Shanshan smiled. When she was changing clothes, she saw Lin Yun taking out the men's wallet. Instead of letting him find out, it would be better for Huang Shanshan to say it herself so that Lin Yun would not think too much about it. About 15 minutes later, Lin Yun came to the dining table with 2 plates of steaming food, handed the bowl to Huang Shanshan, and began to eat the food in front of him, and Huang Shanshan also started eating. Shanshan, take out your wallet so I can see whose it belongs to. Lin Yun said to Huang Shanshan after eating a few bites of food. Huang Shanshan was stunned for a moment, and quickly replied to Lin Yun, okay. After that, Huang Shanshan stood up and walked towards the inner room, opened the bag, took it out, and handed it to Lin Yun. At this time, Huang Shanshan came close to Lin Yun and looked at the photo in the wallet. It was a photo of a man. Lin Yun took the wallet and looked at the photo. Isn't this for my supervisor? Huang Shanshan pretended to be surprised and asked, what? This is your supervisor? Yes, no need to hand it to the police. I will give it to my supervisor when I go to work tomorrow. This way I can show myself in front of him. Maybe my promotion will be faster. Lin Yun looked excited. Huang Shanshan breathed a sigh of relief when she saw that her acting skills had fooled Lin Yun, so she quickly said, okay, then I'll give you this wallet, and then she sat back in her original seat and continued eating. Lin Yun nodded, put away his wallet, and sat at the dining table to eat quietly. After dinner, Lin Yun and Huang Shanshan returned to the bedroom. Lin Yun was just about to lie down and lift the quilt when Huang Shanshan saw the underwear left by Wei Dongqiang and quickly pulled it out of the quilt and placed it under the pillow. This made Huang Shanshan suspicious of Lin Yun. She thought that Lin Yun would not find out, so she asked, Yun, didn't you sleep in bed after working overtime last night? I slept, but I was just lying on the sofa, said Lin Yun. Hearing this, Huang Shanshan secretly felt lucky that she reacted quickly enough and did not let Lin Yun discover her underwear, otherwise she would not be able to explain to Lin Yun. I almost forgot, there's some barbecue left over from yesterday. Do you want to eat some? Lin Yun looked at Wang Shanshan and asked. Wang Shanshan shook her head. No, I've eaten a lot tonight and I'm full. In that case, then go to bed early tonight. I have to go to work early tomorrow. After saying that, Lin Yun covered himself with the quilt and lay down on the bed. Seeing this, Wang Shanshan quickly turned off the lights, then walked to the bed and lay down next to Lin Yun. The two hugged each other and gradually fell asleep. When she woke up in the morning, Wang Shanshan found that Lin Yun had left, and her favorite breakfast was placed on the table. She felt warm in her heart and a sweet smile appeared on the corner of her mouth. After breakfast, she tidied the room, threw yesterday's clothes into the trash can, and cleaned the closet. Then she clapped her hands in satisfaction and went to work. Lin Yun came to the company, said hello to his colleagues, went to his workstation, turned on his computer and started his day's work. Seeing Wei Dongqiang walk into the office, Lin Yun followed him. Good morning, boss. Good morning. What's the matter? Wei Dongqiang asked. It's like this. My girlfriend picked up a wallet, and I took it and saw it was yours, so I came over to return it to you. Lin Yun handed the wallet to Wei Dongqiang. Wei Dongqiang was a little stunned. He didn't expect Wang Shanshan to return the wallet to him in this way, so he took the wallet. Thank you, this is a little token of my appreciation. Wei Dongqiang said, then opened his wallet and handed Lin Yun 1,000 yuan. Lin Yun immediately refused. Boss, this is too much money. I don't want it. Take it, I know you are an honest man, Wei Dongqiang said and stuffed the money into Lin Yun's arms. Lin Yun looked at Wei Dongqiang and thought to himself, the boss is so generous. If I don't take his money, wouldn't it seem too stingy? Lin Yun no longer refused and put the wallet in his pocket. Wei Dongqiang glanced at Lin Yun and said, okay, if you have nothing else, just go out. Yes. Lin Yun nodded, turned and left the office. Wei Dongqiang smiled and gave Lin Yun money, not because he returned the wallet to him, but because of his girlfriend Wang Shanshan. After all, he did not take any protection measures with her that night, and the money was equivalent to appeasing Lin Yun. Lin Yun walked out of Wei Dongqiang's office and sat in his seat thinking about how to advance the project. Just as Lin Yun was thinking, his cell phone suddenly rang. Lin Yun took out his cell phone and saw that it was an unfamiliar number. Hello. A voice came from the other end of the phone. Is that Lin Yun? Lin Yun nodded and said, yes, I am. May I ask who you are? It doesn't matter who I am. The main thing is that your girlfriend cheated on you, and this person is your supervisor. The other party said in a weird tone. Hearing this, Lin Yun's face instantly turned ugly. What nonsense! My girlfriend would never do anything to let me down. Are you spreading rumors? Whether you believe it or not, I tell you, she has given me money to delete the video, but I didn't. After saying that, the other party hung up the phone. Chapter 7 Blackmail. Hearing this, Lin Yun clenched his hands and was extremely angry, but he didn't know how to deal with the matter. In the end, he had to put his phone on the table. He didn't believe Wang Shanshan would cheat on him, he believed she wouldn't do anything to let him down, but how could he explain it over the phone? Thinking of this, Lin Yun's brows furrowed into a Sichuan character. This feeling was really bad. He called back the strange number with trepidation, but the other party hung up the call directly. Helplessly, Lin Yun could only put the phone aside and continue working. Zhu Liwen looked at the record of rejected calls, turned off the voice changer and put the phone on the table. She thought, it seems that Lin Yun wants to know something. Thinking of this, she picked up her phone and sent a text message to Wang Shanshan. I have already told Lin Yun about you and Wei Dongqiang. After the text message was sent, a sly smile appeared on Zhu Liwen's lips, as if she had anticipated Wang Shanshan's reaction. Wang Shanshan was sitting in an office chair reading documents when she heard the notification ring of her cell phone. She quickly picked up the phone and saw that it was a text message from an unfamiliar phone number. She frowned. The moment she saw the content of the text message, she panicked. But she soon found out the purpose of the other party's message. Wang Shanshan walked out of the office, took the elevator to the top floor, and called back. Tell me what you showed Lin Yun, and how much do you want? Wang Shanshan's tone revealed anxiety, but she concealed it well. Zhu Liwen smiled and said, don't be anxious. I'll show you a photo first, and then we'll talk about the money. Then, Zhu Liwen clicked the video button and sent the photo she had just taken to Wang Shanshan. When Wang Shanshan saw the photos sent by Zhu Liwen, her face suddenly turned pale. She never expected that the videos and photos even had the dates clearly marked. What do you want to do? I've already given you 100,000 yuan. Hearing Wang Shanshan's resentful tone, Zhu Liwen said calmly, nothing, I just want to teach you a lesson. I hate being threatened. After hearing Zhu Liwen's words, Wang Shanshan took a deep breath and calmed down. I hope you can stop, otherwise I can't guarantee that I won't do something impulsive. When the time comes, don't blame me for being rude to you. Zhu Liwen laughed. Wang Shanshan, you are so funny, what else can you do to me? Do you really want to deal with me? If you really dare to do it, then try it, let's see who will have the last laugh. Wang Shanshan was so angry that she trembled all over after listening to Zhu Liwen's words, but she had nothing to say. After a long silence, Wang Shanshan calmed down and asked on the phone, you name a price, I just ask you not to send the photos to Lin Yun. Hearing this, Zhu Liwen narrowed her eyes and a strange smile appeared on the corner of her mouth. Give me another 100,000. Zhu Liwen told Wang Shanshan her request. Wang Shanshan was stunned when she heard the conditions Zhu Liwen offered. She didn't expect the other party to ask for such a horrible condition. It was simply asking for an exorbitant price. No. I don't have that much money. Wang Shanshan's voice was filled with anger, and she was obviously very unhappy with Zhu Liwen's request. Zhu Liwen's smile widened when she heard Wang Shanshan's words, and she said to Wang Shanshan on the other end of the phone with contempt, since you don't have money, I have no choice but to send it out. By the way, I don't mind sending it to Wei Dongqiang's wife. As far as I know, Wei Dongqiang's car and house are all in his wife's name. If his wife knew about this, they would definitely divorce, and he wouldn't get any of the property in the divorce. Zhu Liwen's words hit Wang Shanshan's head like a bolt from the blue. She didn't know what to do, so she could only plead with the phone, stop publishing these photos first, and then I will try my best to meet your request, but you must swear that you will never publish them. Zhu Liwen snorted coldly when she heard what Wang Shanshan said. Wang Shanshan, you can't do whatever you want. You think too highly of yourself. Who are you in front of me? Don't forget that you did something wrong. You let Lin Yun down. You cheated on me. Why do you negotiate with me like this? Who do you think you are? You? When Zhu Liwen heard what Wang Shanshan wanted to say, she interrupted her before she finished speaking. What are you talking about? Let me tell you, my patience is limited today. If you don't agree to my conditions, just shut your stinky mouth. After that, she hung up the phone without giving Wang Shanshan any chance to refute. Wang Shanshan angrily threw the phone against the wall after hearing the dead tone coming from the phone. Her chest was heaving violently, and tears were streaming from her eyes. She had never thought that she would fall to such a state, and she would have to use this method to exchange for her own peace. Unfortunately, things have come to this point and she can only grit her teeth and bear it. She knew that the only person she could rely on now was Wei Dongqiang. Apart from him, she couldn't think of anyone else who could save her. Last time, in order to let the other party keep the secret, she took out the money from the salary card that Lin Yun gave her, and borrowed some money from a friend. Zhu Liwen sent a message. I'll give you 3 hours to think about it. If you don't see the money in 3 hours, I'll send out the video and photos. Wang Shanshan gritted her teeth when she saw the message from Zhu Liwen. No, she had to find a way to solve this problem. She called Wei Dongqiang, who was in a meeting at the time. He ignored the vibration of his phone and continued to talk about the cooperation with Qinju Group. But the phone kept ringing. He took out his phone and saw that it was Wang Shanshan. He looked up and glanced at the employees below. I'm going out to answer a phone call. You guys take a rest. Wei Dongqiang left the office and came to the stairs. What's wrong? Didn't we agree that when we're at work, I'll call you instead of you calling me? Brother Qiang. Wei Dongqiang was shocked when he heard Wang Shanshan crying. What's wrong? What happened? Wang Shanshan sobbed a few times, then said to Wei Dongqiang, Brother Qiang, our affair has been discovered. The other party is threatening me and asking for 100,000 yuan, but I only have 20,000 yuan. What should I do? As she spoke, her eyes couldn't help but become moist. When Wei Dongqiang heard this, his eyebrows immediately knitted together, and then he said to Wang Shanshan, Don't be afraid, I'm here. It's only 100,000 yuan. I'll find a way to wait until I finish the project at hand, and then I'll take you out for a trip and let's relax. Chapter 8 Transfers. Well, Brother Chiang, you are so nice. Huang Shanshan felt warm in her heart when she heard Wei Dongqiang's words. She wiped the tears from her face and burst into laughter. Wei Dongqiang's mouth curled up into a bitter smile, thinking in his heart, you will never know how good I am to you. But I can't let you know. He hung up the phone. Wei Dongqiang turned around and returned to the office to continue the meeting. Huang Shanshan put down her phone, her eyes flashing with determination. She could not fail, whether for herself or for her parents and family. She walked down the stairs and returned to the office. Su Moryu came over and asked with concern, Shanshan, why is your face so red? It's okay. I just got caught in the wind outside. Huang Shanshan made up an excuse. Really? You didn't cry, did you? What happened downstairs just now? Su Moryu asked with concern. It's really nothing, don't worry. Huang Shanshan didn't want to tell her what happened, so she could only answer perfunctorily. Su Moryu nodded. She didn't want to ask Huang Shanshan anything. After all, everyone has their own secrets, and she didn't want to pry into anything, but she guessed that it was because of the relationship. Then go get busy. Su Moryu waved at Huang Shanshan. Huang Shanshan turned around and smiled at her. She sat down at her workstation and began to work on her unfinished work. After the meeting, Wei Dongqiang returned to his office and opened his mobile banking account. He frowned as he looked at the balance in his bank card. He only had 150,000 yuan left. After thinking about it, he decided to transfer the money to Huang Shanshan first. After all, the two of them still had the other's evidence. After making up his mind, Wei Dongqiang filled in Huang Shanshan's bank card number. After the transfer was successful, he called Huang Shanshan to tell her that the money had been transferred to her. Huang Shanshan felt a little relieved when she heard that the money had been received, but she was full of worries, wondering whether Zhu Liwen would really send out the video and photos. If the photos and videos were exposed, she would have no face to stay in this city. She took out her cell phone and called the unknown number. Zhu Liwen picked up the phone after a long time. Why, have you made up your mind? Zhu Liwen said to Huang Shanshan in a weird tone. Huang Shanshan took a deep breath and tried to control her emotions. She suppressed her inner anger and anxiety and said to Zhu Liwen, think about it. You must help me do what you promised me, otherwise I will never forgive you. By the way, how can I transfer the money to you? Zhu Liwen laughed when she heard what Huang Shanshan said, and taunted Huang Shanshan on the phone. Huang Shanshan, you have no right to ask me, the things are in my hands, transfer the money or don't blame me for putting that video online. Huang Shanshan was shocked when she heard Zhu Liwen's threat. If the video and photos were leaked, she would be finished. If the news spread, she would not be able to live. But she was unwilling to give in. She gritted her teeth and said, don't get excited, I'll transfer it to you now. After saying that, Huang Shanshan hung up the phone. Then she started to transfer the money. Soon, the money was transferred into Zhu Liwen's account. Zhu Liwen put away her phone and showed a triumphant smile on her face. After the meeting, Lin Yun returned to his seat and saw Wei Dongqiang's behavior, which made him suspicious, especially when he answered the phone. It seemed that he was talking to the employees present, but in fact he was watching my actions. This made Lin Yun feel an inexplicable sense of crisis. He always felt that things were not as simple as they seemed. Lin Yun, what are you looking at? Wei Dongqiang came close to Lin Yun and asked in a low voice. Lin Yun came back to his senses, smiled faintly and responded, oh, nothing, just thinking about work. Lin Yun's face returned to calm. He saw Wei Dongqiang looking at him, so he pretended nothing had happened and continued working. Wei Dongqiang's gaze lingered on Lin Yun's face, as if he wanted to detect something from it, but in the end he gained nothing and so he withdrew his gaze. Lin Yun's heartbeat suddenly accelerated. He felt that things were not that simple. He couldn't help wondering in his heart, could the story on the phone be true? He shook his head. It was impossible. Huang Shanshan was not that kind of person. She would not betray him. Moreover, his love for her was from the bottom of his heart. Huang Shanshan also loved him. Lin Yun comforted himself in this way. Lin Yun secretly breathed a sigh of relief. He felt that he was thinking too much. Wei Dongqiang was sitting in his office, recalling the past in his mind. No matter how he thought about it, he couldn't figure out how that stranger knew about him and Huang Shanshan, and even had their explicit videos and photos. Is someone following me? Or Huang Shanshan? Wei Dongqiang thought to himself. He couldn't help feeling panicked when he thought about his affair with Huang Shanshan being known to others. If someone spread the video and photos, he would have no face to continue to work in the company. How would he be able to stay in the company in the future? At this time, he wondered if it was his wife who did it. After all, he had not been home for 2 or 3 days. The more he thought about it, the more likely it was his wife. After all, his wife is his bedmate, so she must have some opinions about him. Thinking of this, he couldn't help but feel a little scared. If his wife knew about these things, she would definitely divorce him. This was something he absolutely would not allow. Thinking of this, he decided to get off work early and go home to find out what happened to Leuren. After all, he knew his wife's temper very well. If it was really Leuren who did it, then she was collecting valid evidence, and he would not get a penny if they divorced. Thinking of this, his heart couldn't help but tremble. After figuring this out, he quickly picked up his crossbody bag and walked out. He couldn't wait any longer and wanted to get home right away. Lin Yun saw Wei Dongqiang walking out in a hurry, so he decided to go to Wei Dongqiang's office. When he walked to the door, he saw Wei Dongqiang had already walked into the elevator. He walked into the office, looked at the arrangement of the items, and began to search through them. There was anxiety on his face. He hoped he could find the proof he needed, but he didn't expect to find anything. After all, his 8-year relationship with Huang Shanshan could not be easily destroyed. But now he could only try his best. He searched the drawers in his office, hoping to find what he needed, but he found nothing after searching for a long time. He sat on the sofa in frustration, lost in thought. He couldn't help but doubt his own judgment. Could it be that his guess was wrong? Chapter 9: Leuren's suspicion. Knock, knock. At this time, there was a knock on the door, and Lin Yun quickly squatted under the desk and hid his body. When the person knocked on the door and heard no response from inside, she opened the door and walked in. When she saw that Wei Dongqiang was not there, she placed the documents on the table on his desk, then closed the door and left. Lin Yun looked at the document on the table. It said an appointment letter, and next to the appointment letter there was a contract. Lin Yun picked up the contract and studied it carefully. The content of the appointment letter was very simple. In recognition of Wei Dongqiang's outstanding performance in cooperation with Chinju Group, Wei Dongqiang was appointed as the manager of Nanfang Industrial Kyoto branch, in charge of real estate projects. In this contract, Wei Dongqiang's salary will be increased by 50% and he will receive a bonus of 100,000 yuan. As for his own affairs, he didn't mention anything. You know, it was all thanks to him that Chinju Group was taken over, but Lin Yun's name was not mentioned in the promotion, which made Lin Yun feel dissatisfied. Wei Dongqiang's previous promise of giving him a promotion and a raise were all empty promises, which he never achieved. But now, he has been promoted 3 levels in a row. It's really infuriating. Although Lin Yun was dissatisfied, there was nothing he could do. After all, he could only obey orders now. Otherwise, Wei Dongqiang might be dissatisfied with him one day and make things difficult for him, and he would lose this job. Thinking of this, Lin Yun sighed, put the contract in his hand on the table and prepared to leave. Just as Lin Yun was about to leave the office, he suddenly heard footsteps. He quickly squatted down, ready to avoid the sight of the intruders. When Wei Dongqiang just walked to the underground garage, he received a call from the HR department saying that the appointment notice had been issued and was placed on the table, so he hurried back. But it was too late. Lin Yun came to the door. Wei Dongqiang pushed it open and looked at the documents on the desk. Lin Yun left Wei Dongqiang's office while he was not paying attention and returned to his workstation. He breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, he was not discovered, otherwise he would have trouble explaining himself. However, he was still a little unhappy about this incident. The promotion had nothing to do with him, and all the credit went to Wei Dongqiang. Although he was unhappy, Lin Yun could not show it now. He had to wait until he announced Wei Dongqiang's appointment in front of the entire company, so as not to arouse suspicion. Wei Dongqiang returned to the office, put the appointment letter into the drawer, then sat in a chair to rest for a while before leaving get off work. In the living room, Leuren was watching TV with her kitten in her arms. She heard footsteps on the stairs and turned to see Wei Dongqiang changing his shoes. His face was ruddy and he was smiling. Leuren stood up and walked to Wei Dongqiang. She stroked the kitten in her arms and looked at Wei Dongqiang. "Hey, how come you came back today and you are so happy?" Did you finish your relationship with your lover outside? No, there is no such thing as a little lover. Don't talk nonsense. Wei Dongqian glared at Leuren, a little annoyed. Can't this woman say something nice? She had to say something that made him unhappy. You've been away from home for a few days, and your temper has worsened. Leuren rolled her eyes at Wei Dongqian. I'm busy dealing with company matters. Besides, the company has been busy these 2 days. I'll be back after I finish dealing with them. Wei Dongqian explained with a smile. Oh? Really? Leuren raised her eyebrows, obviously not believing Wei Dongqian's words, but she did not expose him. Anyway, she just wanted to provoke Wei Dongqian and make him unhappy, so that she would feel comfortable. Otherwise, she would be suffocated to death in the next few days. Wei Dongqian felt helpless when he saw that Leuren didn't believe him, but he didn't dare to say anything. After all, the house and the car were hers. Seeing that Wei Dongqian was no longer bickering with her, Leuren changed the subject. You came back just in time. I received a call. The other party said that you checked into a room with a woman and asked if I wanted to see it. What? Who is so shameless to call you? Wei Dongqian's face changed immediately after hearing this. Leuren knew that he had checked into a hotel with a woman. What should he do? Leuren looked at Wei Dongqian's face and knew that she had guessed right. She was immediately proud of herself, but her face remained expressionless, still looking cold. I thought it was a scam call, but when I saw your expression change, I had to believe that what the other party said was true. That's impossible. Wei Dongqian shook his head and denied it after hearing what Leuren said, but his attitude exposed his guilty conscience, which made his tone a little weak. Leuren looked at Wei Dongqian's performance and secretly despised him in her heart. What a coward, he was actually afraid. She couldn't help but say contentiously, Are you feeling guilty? Wei Dongqian looked up at Leuren. What do I have to feel guilty about? I haven't done anything illegal or disciplinary. I just. Leuren looked at Wei Dongqian's hesitation, and she became more and more certain that he was indeed lying. But what could she do if he didn't admit it? Could she force him to admit it? Leuren's face became colder and colder, and her eyes were full of murderous intent, which made Wei Dongqian shudder. This kind of look was what he least wanted to see. This woman is definitely a tigress. Wei Dongqian cursed in his heart. Leuren looked at Wei Dongqian's performance, and the anger in her heart grew stronger and stronger. This kind of man was not worthy of her love, and he was not worthy of her at all. When Wei Dongqian saw Leuren's eyes, his heart skipped a beat. He didn't know what Leuren was going to do. He didn't know whether Leuren had clear evidence that he had a mistress outside. So he was very nervous and a little worried. But he still pretended to be calm and said, Leuren, you misunderstood me. You are the only one in my heart. I will not let you down. Then he stretched out his arms and hugged Leuren's waist. His words were sincere, which satisfied Leuren. She snorted and slapped Wei Dongqian's hand on her waist. Then I will trust you once. If I find out the second time, I will never forgive you. Wei Dongqian breathed a sigh of relief, but Leuren had her own plans in mind. Seeing that Leuren did not pursue the matter any further, she was relieved, but she was still a little worried. After all, she was still a little nervous after being frightened by Leuren. She not only wanted to find out how many women Wei Dongqian had kept outside, but also what he had done outside. If she found evidence, she could divorce him directly and not let him get a penny. Chapter 10, First Doubt. Lin Yun looked at the time and found that it was already 7 o'clock in the evening and it was time to get off work, so he packed up the documents on the desk and prepared to go home. Just as Lin Yun was walking towards the elevator, he suddenly heard a shout from the side, Brother Lin, are you going to the bar tonight? Lin Yun turned around and saw a new intern walking up to him. Lin Yun also knew this new intern, his name was Xu Lei. Okay, I have nothing to do tonight. Oh. That's great, Brother Lin. Let's meet at the Matido bar at 10 o'clock tonight. Okay. Lin Yun agreed and entered the elevator. He pressed the button for the first floor and came downstairs. After leaving the company, Lin Yun took a bus home. After arriving home, he took a shower and sat on the sofa to look through the call records on his mobile phone. Lin Yun decided to call the strange phone number again, but he found that the number was turned off, which made Lin Yun very depressed. Wei Dongqian prepared the meal in the kitchen, set the tableware, and then went upstairs to call Leuren to come down to eat. Leuren heard the knock on the door, so she walked out of the bedroom and glanced at Wei Dongqian. "What's wrong?" "Wife, the meal is ready." Wei Dongqian smiled at Leuren with a flattering look on his face. Leuren felt disgusted when she saw Wei Dongqian's flattering look, but for the sake of his next plan, he had to pretend to enjoy it and walked down, then sat next to the table. After Leuren sat down, Wei Dongqian hurriedly served her a bowl of soup. Wei Dongqian looked at Leuren with a flattering look. She looked at Wei Dongqian and said coldly, "Why are you staring at me like that? If you have something to say, just say it quickly." She felt extremely annoyed just by looking at Wei Dongqian. "Well, Leuren, I have good news to tell you. The company promoted me. I am now a manager and I also received a bonus," Wei Dongqian said as he took out 50,000 yuan in cash and placed it in front of Leuren. Oh, Leuren glanced at it with disdain, randomly moved her eyes to the dishes on the table, picked up the beans on the table and put them into her mouth. "Congratulations, is this bonus enough to support a woman outside?" Leuren said while looking at Wei Dongqian, her eyes full of sarcasm. "Wife, you're just joking. Just buy whatever you like. If you hadn't supported me behind the scenes, I wouldn't be able to get to where I am today," Wei Dongqian explained quickly. Leuren felt a little sweet when she heard these words, and pretended to be reserved and said, "Okay, stop saying those cheesy words and eat." As Leuren spoke, she picked up the food and put it into her mouth, chewing it in big mouthfuls. Wei Dongqian looked at Leuren's performance and felt secretly happy. He felt that Leuren had tacitly approved of his behavior. Did this mean that she had forgiven him? He felt that he was not far from success. He glanced at Leuren and felt secretly happy, knowing that he was already halfway to success. After dinner, Leuren glanced at Wei Dongqian and said coldly, "Go to bed first. I have something else to do later, so I won't accompany you. Good night." "Good night, wife." After Wei Dongqian finished speaking, he returned to the room. Leuren stood in front of the window and looked outside. Then he snorted coldly, took out his mobile phone and started calling his friends. Lin Yun was lying on the sofa, stroking the cat beside him. He glanced at the time and saw that Wang Shanshan had not come back yet, so he took out his cell phone and called Wang Shanshan. Wang Shanshan, who was busy at work, saw a call coming in on her mobile phone and she picked up the call. "Hey, Shanshan, where are you? Why haven't you come back yet?" Lin Yun asked. "Yun, I have a lot of work to do today and I haven't finished yet. I will be back later," Wang Shanshan explained. "I understand. You go ahead and do your work." Lin Yun hung up the phone. He put on his clothes and went to the night market downstairs to buy some of her favorite food. He hailed a taxi from the roadside and came to the downstairs of Wang Shanshan's office, wanting to give her a surprise. He walked into the office building, pressed the elevator, took the tape to the 28th floor, and rang the doorbell of her company. I'm coming." Wang Shanshan heard the knock on the door and hurried to open it. When she opened the door and saw Lin Yun standing in front of her, she was stunned for a moment, her heart beat faster, her face flushed, and she looked very charming. "What? You don't want to invite me in?" Lin Yun looked at Wang Shanshan with a smile. Wang Shanshan reacted quickly when she heard Lin Yun's words and quickly invited Lin Yun in. "These are for you. They are all your favorite foods." Lin Yun put the food he bought on Wang Shanshan's desk with a smile. "I knew you were the best." Wang Shanshan held Lin Yun's arm affectionately. Lin Yun smelled the perfume coming from Wang Shanshan and felt a little intoxicated. He looked around to see if there was anyone else, then lowered his head and kissed her. "You annoying guy." Wang Shanshan uttered coquettishly and pushed Lin Yun twice, but she was unable to break free from his restraints. "Okay, I'll finish the work at hand first." Wang Shanshan pushed Lin Yun away, then walked to her desk, sat down and started working. Lin Yun sat aside and looked at Wang Shanshan seriously. "Shanshan, you know, when we were in school, you sat next to me and I just watched you like this." Lin Yun thought of what happened at school and felt warm in his heart. When Wang Shanshan heard Lin Yun's words, she looked up at Lin Yun, a hint of shyness appeared on her face, but she didn't say anything. "By the way, Shanshan, I received a call today." When Wang Shanshan heard Lin Yun say that he received a call, her shy expression froze for a moment, and then returned to normal. "Who's calling?" she asked casually. "I was just about to pick up the phone when he hung up." But I called back and the other party didn't answer either. Lin Yun said while observing the changes in Huang Shanshan's expression. That could be an advertisement. Well, it's possible. Lin Yun nodded, and then began to look at Huang Shanshan attentively again. However, he found that Huang Shanshan's eyes were always wandering, as if her mind was not on work at all. Lin Yun knew that Huang Shanshan must be thinking wildly, so he said, "Shan, if you have anything to say, just say it, don't keep it in your heart." "It's okay, I'm just a little tired. Let me rest for a while. Don't wait for me. I still have things to do. You go back first." Huang Shanshan said and turned her head to the side. "Then you go ahead and do your work. I'll go back first." Huang Shanshan breathed a sigh of relief when she saw Lin Yun leave, and took out her cell phone to send a message to Wei Jiqiang. "Brother Chong, I feel like Lin Yun is beginning to doubt me." "Don't worry, what can he do if he suspects? He has no evidence." Wei Jiqiang sent a message to Huang Shanshan. Chapter 11 bar. Huang Shanshan felt a little disappointed when she saw the message. She knew that Wei Jiqiang was right. Lin Yun had no evidence, but he could easily guess her thoughts. It was really depressing. Could it be that she was so easily seen through by others? Impossible, impossible. Huang Shanshan shook her head. Inside the Medito bar, the music was deafening, colorful lights were flashing in the middle of the dance floor, and men and women of all kinds were enjoying their youth to the fullest. Xu Lei sat in the reserved booth, took out his cell phone and called Lin Yun. "Brother Lin, are we there yet? I haven't even left the house yet, are you here yet?" "Here we are. I have already opened a booth and am waiting for you." "Okay, wait for me for a while, I'll leave now." Lin Yun hung up the phone and walked out. Lin Yun originally wanted to refuse Xu Lei's invitation and wanted to go to the company to accompany Huang Shanshan after get off work, but when she answered Lin Yun's questions, her expression changed a little, which made him a little suspicious and in a bad mood. After thinking about it, he decided to go to the bar with Xu Lei to relax. Lin Yun went to the supermarket to buy a pack of cigarettes, took a taxi on the roadside and arrived at the destination. After getting off the car, Lin Yun went through security check and walked in. He looked around the booth and didn't see Xu Lei, so he took out his phone and sent him a message. "Where are you?" Lin Yun had just sent the message when he saw Xu Lei walking towards him from behind. "Brother Lin." "Yes, here." Lin Yun turned around and looked at Xu Lei. "Let's go and have a few drinks first." Xu Lei pointed in the direction of the booth. Lin Yun looked over and found that there were already 2 men and 6 women sitting there. It looked very lively. Lin Yun nodded, and the 2 of them walked towards the booth. "Let me introduce to you all, this is my colleague Lin Yun. He is very caring towards me. You can call him Brother Lin," said Xu Lei. "Hello, Brother Lin. Nice to meet you. Let me toast you." The 6 girls stood up and toasted Lin Yun. Lin Yun also smiled, picked up the wine glass on the table and clinked glasses with them. "Hello, everyone." Lin Yun also picked up his wine glass and took a sip. However, the 2 boys sitting next to him did not give Xu Lei any face. They did not stand up to toast Lin Yun, and Lin Yun did not say anything either. "Xu Lei, it's been 2 years since graduation. How much do you earn per month now?" one of the boys asked with a smile. After hearing this, Xu Lei's expression froze. "What? You don't want to say it? Don't you even make 10,000 a month?" another boy also followed up with sarcasm. "It's the same no matter how much you earn. It's not like some people who take the postgraduate entrance examination in order to avoid working, and then fail in the end." Xu Lei sneered when he heard what the 2 boys said and fought back. Lin Yun felt a little embarrassed listening to the conversation between the 3 people. He looked at the girls opposite him, leaned on Xu Lei's shoulder and asked in a low voice, "Are they adults?" Xu Lei was stunned when he heard Lin Yun's question. "Now that you're an adult, Brother Lin, who do you like? I'd like to introduce her to you." Xu Lei asked Lin Yun with a smile. "I don't need it, I'm just curious." Lin Yun shook his head. The 2 boys sitting opposite heard Xu Lei's taunting and were angry and wanted to beat him up, but when they thought that Xu Lei had invited them to the bar, they had to endure it. "Brother Lin seems to be much older than us. What is your position in your company?" one of the boys asked with a smile. Lin Yun pretended not to hear and drank the wine in his glass while watching the dancers in the center of the dance floor. "It seems he is just an ordinary employee. I don't know how he managed to get by at such an old age. One of the boys continued to taunt. When Lin Yun heard what they said, the corners of his mouth twitched twice, thinking that these people were too arrogant. Xu Lei was also a little angry when he heard what the two boys said, and was about to stand up, but when he saw Lin Yun's eyes, he had to suppress his anger and sit down. Lin Yun has a good temper, but that doesn't mean he can tolerate bullying from others. Although Xu Lei's personality is relatively gentle, it doesn't mean he is afraid of things. If someone dares to talk about him behind his back, he will let the other person know what pain is. He suddenly looked at a boy, only to see that boy staring at him with a sinister look on his face. Lin Yun smiled slightly, raised the cup and shook it at the boy. The two boys saw Lin Yun doing this, their faces turned pale, and they were a little scared. He knew that if he continued to fight with him, he would definitely lose, so he chose to escape. He stood up and left the booth. Lin Yun looked at the boy who left, smiled, and ignored him. The 6 girls sitting nearby watched the 2 men leave and came to Lin Yun and Xu Lei. Lin Yun looked around and found that these girls had no ill intentions, so he did not refuse. Brother Lin, you are so amazing. You actually managed to scare those 2 men away. Yeah, Brother Lin, you're awesome. I admire you so much. Lin Yun felt a little embarrassed when he heard the compliments from several girls. Don't praise me like that, I'll be embarrassed, hee hee. Brother Lin, you are too modest. Several girls said in unison. Lin Yun didn't know whether to laugh or cry when he heard their words. He felt a little flattered by what they said. However, Lin Yun was indeed embarrassed. After all, they were a group of students and he was not as good as the girls. When Xu Lei heard the conversation between Lin Yun and several girls, he smiled and said, Brother Lin, don't be polite. Lin Yun nodded, picked up the bottle and poured himself some wine. Xu Lei looked at Lin Yun, then poured himself a glass of wine and clinked glasses with Lin Yun. After Lin Yun and Xu Lei clinked glasses, he filled his own glass and took a sip. At this time, the 2 boys who had left walked towards Lin Yun and Xu Lei angrily with 3 other people. It's none of your business. Get out of the way. Do you dare to go out with us? One of the boys shouted at Lin Yun. Lin Yun ignored the boy, picked up the wine glass on the table, raised his head and drank the wine in the glass. After Lin Yun finished drinking alone, he stood up. Oh, you are quite arrogant. I want to see how arrogant you are. A boy saw that Lin Yun didn't take him seriously, and a look of anger and shame appeared on his face. Brother Lin. Xu Lei looked at Lin Yun worriedly. Don't worry, it's okay. I just want to see what these people can do to me. Lin Yun responded to Xu Lei with a smile, and then walked towards the door. When Xu Lei heard Lin Yun's words, he sighed helplessly and just hoped that nothing would happen to Lin Yun. Lin Yun had been learning martial arts from his family elders since he was young, but he had become a little rusty in the past 2 years. In his senior year, he was busy looking for a job, and after finding a job, he was busy making money, so naturally his martial arts skills fell behind. However, he was still more than capable of dealing with these minions. Chapter 12 You Can't Fall in Love with Others. The 5 people followed Lin Yun and came to the door. Lin Yun stopped in front of the door, looked at the people and asked, Are you guys going to fight together or one by one? Boy, you are so arrogant that you dare to challenge us. Today I will let you taste my power. Let's come together. One of the boys stood up and said. Lin Yun got ready and looked at the 5 people in front of him calmly. 5 people rushed towards Lin Yun together. Lin Yun stood still and waited for them to get close. Then Lin Yun swung his fist and hit one of them in the abdomen. The man was caught off guard and was hit by Lin Yun's punch. He took a few steps back and bumped into someone behind him. Then he fell to the ground, holding his stomach and screaming. The 3 people behind the man were frightened when they saw this scene and stepped back to avoid it. Why don't you hurry up and help? The injured man shouted loudly to the remaining 3 people. When the 3 boys heard his words, they rushed towards Lin Yun. He looked at the attacks of the 3 men without any fear and went to meet them. It soon attracted the attention of passers-by. Some people heard the noise and gathered around to watch, enjoying the fun. The physical strength of these 5 people was not as good as Lin Yun's. In addition, Lin Yun had a strong foundation and was much faster than them. He could hit them accurately almost every time. In less than a few minutes, all 5 men were knocked to the ground by Lin Yun. The people around were stunned when they saw this scene, and some even clapped their hands in joy. Xu Lei saw Lin Yun easily deal with 5 people, and a hint of pride appeared on his face. Lin Yun came to the boy, squatted down, looked at the people lying on the ground and said, "Now we live in a society ruled by law, so I didn't use any brutal force. You only suffered minor injuries, so don't mess with me," Lin Yun said lightly. When the boy heard Lin Yun's words, he gnashed his teeth in hatred, but he didn't dare to refute Lin Yun anymore. After Lin Yun finished speaking, he stood up, took out a cigarette that had not been opened yet, lit it, and signaled the people around him to disperse, saying that there was nothing to see. After hearing what Lin Yun said, the people around him dispersed and stopped watching. Lin Yun said hello to Xu Lei and was about to leave. The 6 girls who were standing aside and watching the game came over and wanted to add Lin Yun's WeChat. Lin Yun did not refuse and left his contact information to them. The 6 girls looked at Lin Yun's WeChat and were excited. Lin Yun hailed a taxi on the roadside and returned home. It was already around 11 o'clock in the evening. He found that Wang Shanshan had not returned yet. He took a shower and sat on the sofa waiting for her to come back. This time he did not call. He was smoking and watching TV. As time passed, he fell asleep on the sofa without realizing it. When Wang Shanshan came back, she found the lights in the living room were still on and there was a strong smell of smoke. She was startled and quickly put down her bag and ran to the kitchen to check. She was relieved to see that everything was fine. Wang Shanshan saw Lin Yun lying on the sofa. She walked over to him and found that he was already asleep. She didn't have the heart to wake him up. Seeing the cigarette ashes on the table and the smell of alcohol on him, she knew that he must be drunk. She quickly took a blanket and covered Lin Yun. Looking at the sleeping Lin Yun, Wang Shanshan's mouth curled up into a happy smile. She gently kissed Lin Yun on the forehead, then tiptoed into the bedroom. Wang Shanshan returned to the bedroom and lay on the bed, her heart unable to calm down for a long time. She was very conflicted. One was her first love with whom she had been in love for 8 years, and the other was Wei Dongqian, who could make her live a good life. Both choices were difficult for Wang Shanshan to make. Wang Shanshan looked at the scenery outside the window and couldn't calm down for a long time. At this moment, Wang Shanshan heard Lin Yun talking in his sleep. Wang Shanshan moved over and found that Lin Yun was talking in his sleep, and his voice was getting louder and louder, but she couldn't hear clearly what he said. Wang Shanshan put her ear to Lin Yun's lips, trying to hear clearly what he was saying. "Shanshan, Wang Shanshan, you can't fall in love with someone else, don't leave me." Lin Yun spoke intermittently, one sentence after another, as if he wanted to express his inner worries. But the words that came out were unclear and not very audible. I love you. Shanshan. Don't leave me. I love you." Lin Yun continued to speak intermittently. His tone became very high-pitched, and it could be heard that he was in pain at the moment. Wang Shanshan heard Lin Yun's intermittent words of love for her, and her eyes were instantly covered with mist, crystal clear. She gently touched Lin Yun's face and cried softly. Her tears fell down her cheeks, wetting Lin Yun's face, dripping, 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 hitting his face, and Lin Yun felt the coolness on his face. Wang Shanshan wiped away her tears, stretched out her hands and gently stroked Lin Yun's face, her cheek pressed against Lin Yun's face, feeling the warmth on Lin Yun's face. Her fingers brushed across Lin Yun's face, feeling the warmth coming from Lin Yun's face. "What should I do, Lin Yun?" Wang Shanshan cried and murmured to herself. She really didn't know how to choose. Wang Shanshan looked at Lin Yun, feeling conflicted. At this time, Lin Yun suddenly opened his eyes, and he stared at Wang Shanshan in a daze. It seemed that he was a little unconscious because of the alcohol. Seeing that Lin Yun woke up, Wang Shanshan quickly retracted her gaze. She turned her head away and dared not look at Lin Yun, fearing that Lin Yun would find her crying secretly. "You're back?" Lin Yun asked slowly when he saw Wang Shanshan. He felt a headache now. "Yeah." Wang Shanshan nodded, wiped the tears from the corners of her eyes, her voice as soft as a mosquito, and she didn't dare to look up at Lin Yun. "Are you crying?" Lin Yun looked at Wang Shanshan and asked puzzledly. No, I just came back and the wind blew sand into my eyes. I squinted and rubbed them, and it's fine now," Wang Shanshan hurriedly covered up. After hearing Wang Shanshan's explanation, Lin Yun had no doubts. "Are you hungry?" Lin Yun looked at Wang Shanshan and asked with concern. "I'm not hungry." "Why did you drink so much? You're risking your life." Wang Shanshan looked at Lin Yun and blamed him. When Lin Yun heard Wang Shanshan's concern, a faint smile appeared on his face. It's okay, I can drink a lot. I had a dinner with my colleagues today, so I drank a little. Wang Shanshan rolled her eyes at Lin Yun when she heard what he said. Seeing this, Lin Yun immediately begged for mercy. Okay Shanshan, I was wrong. I will never drink so much again. Okay, I forgive you. It's getting late, go back to your room and go to bed. Wang Shanshan looked at her cell phone and found that it was almost 3 or 4 in the morning. Thinking that she had to go to work tomorrow, she urged Lin Yun to go to bed early. Okay, let's go back to the room and rest. Lin Yun said as he stood up holding Wang Shanshan and walked towards the bedroom. Wang Shanshan felt Lin Yun's chest and her cheeks were slightly red. Lin Yun gently put Wang Shanshan on the bed, then took off his shoes, got into the bed, hugged Wang Shanshan, closed his eyes and fell asleep. Wang Shanshan felt Lin Yun approaching and her heart was excited, but she was afraid that Lin Yun would find out that she was peeking at him, so she didn't dare to move and just lay quietly in Lin Yun's arms. Chapter 13 Socializing. The next morning, Lin Yun got up from the bed and saw that Wang Shanshan was gone. He knew that she must have slept very late yesterday. Lin Yun looked at the time and found that he was late. He hurriedly put on his clothes and rushed to the company. After arriving at the office, Lin Yun immediately started working at his workstation. At this time, a woman in black business attire and Wei Dongqiang came to the office. Wei Dongqiang then asked everyone to stand up and gather for a morning meeting. Good morning, colleagues, said Wei Dongqiang. Let me introduce you. This is the Human Resources Manager from our head office. He is here today to announce the personnel appointments. After saying this, Wei Dongqiang turned and looked at Li Qing. Nanguo Industrial Corporation is grateful for Wei Dongqiang's many years of work. We hereby appoint Wei Dongqiang as the manager of Nanguo Industrial. After Li Qing finished speaking, the employees standing below immediately applauded in praise. Upon hearing this news, Lin Yun forced a smile and clapped his hands. He felt very unhappy, but there was nothing he could do. He couldn't help but look at Wei Dongqiang who was standing next to him, his eyes full of unwillingness. Wei Dongqiang had a smile of victory on his face, and seeing this smile made Lin Yun feel even more uncomfortable. He told himself in his heart that one day he would return all the shame. Congratulations, Manager Wei. Li Qing clapped his hands, and then Wei Dongqiang took the appointment letter and left the office. Meeting adjourned. After Wei Dongqiang finished speaking, everyone returned to their seats. Lin Yun sat back in his seat. At this time, Li Teng, the general manager of Qinju Group, called. Mr. Li, what's the matter? It's like this, there is a dinner party tonight, you have to come and join us, Li Teng said on the phone. Okay, Mr. Li, what time tonight? 9 o'clock in the evening, Li Teng said and hung up the phone, but Lin Yun fell into deep thought. He didn't understand why he was looking for him. He should have nothing to do with Qinju Group. After the contract was signed, the rest of the things were arranged by Wei Dongqiang. Did Li Ting ask him to go over and drink with him? These questions puzzled him, but he could only act according to Li Ting's instructions. At this time, Wei Dongqiang sent a message to Lin Yun, asking him to go to the construction site to check the progress of the construction. When he saw the message from Lin Yun cursed in his heart, MD, you really know how to arrange the work. He didn't dare to refute and could only do what Wei Dongqiang wanted. After all, his future was still in Wei Dongqiang's control. Lin Yun tidied up his desk, walked out of the office, and took a taxi to the construction site in the suburbs. Lin Yun came to the construction site wearing a white helmet. Seeing that the construction was going on, he took a few photos, then left the construction site and prepared to go back. His phone rang. Hello. Lin Yun looked at the caller ID and found it was an unfamiliar number. Hello, guess who I am? A delicate voice came from the phone. Lin Yun felt familiar with it, but he couldn't remember where he had heard it before, so he asked, Who are you? Why, you forgot me so quickly. I'm Zhu Liwen. A sweet laugh came from the phone. No, I didn't forget. By the way, didn't you go abroad after graduation? Are you back? Lin Yun asked in surprise. Yeah, I just returned home. I missed you after not seeing you for a while. There was another sweet laugh from the other end of the line. Are you free tonight? I would like to treat you to dinner. Zhu Liwen said. I'm sorry, I'm not free tonight. I have an appointment tonight, so let's do it another day. Lin Yun declined. Okay, let's do it another day. By the way, I heard that you were in Kyoto, so I'm staying here too. Zhu Liwen continued. Oh, really? Then I have to treat you well. Lin Yun said with a smile, then hung up the phone and returned to the company. 9 o'clock in the evening. A business car stopped at the gate of Nangua Industrial Technology Park, then Lin Yun was invited into the car and it drove to a luxurious restaurant. Li Ting looked at Lin Yun in the car. Don't be nervous, today we are just having a simple meal. Har har, don't worry, Mr. Li, I won't be nervous. Lin Yun smiled awkwardly, and then stopped talking. 10 minutes later, the business car stopped at the most upscale 5-star building in the center of Kyoto. This 80-story building is one of the top dining, entertainment and leisure clubs in Kyoto. According to Lin Yun's current salary, it is not enough to order a dish here, but he has no choice but to come here. Lin Yun and Li Ting got out of the car and walked in, then were led by the waiter to the private room that Li Ting had reserved in advance. There were 3 men and 4 women sitting in the box. Lin Yun followed Li Ting into the room. He found that Wei Dongqiang was also there with 2 beauties by his side. He felt a little surprised. Wei Dongqiang also looked at Lin Yun, his eyes full of disdain. He didn't expect that Li Ting would bring him here, so he asked, Mr. Li, did you bring this? Yes, this young man is also from your company. He has decent abilities, so I brought him here. By the way, do you know him? Li Ting said. I know him. He's an ordinary employee of my company and my subordinate. Wei Dongqiang said disdainfully. Lin Yun looked at Wei Dongqiang, his heart full of doubts. In that case, you guys chat first. I'm going to the bathroom and will be back soon. After Li Ting finished speaking, he walked out of the box and closed the door. Manager, actually Lin Yun still couldn't help but want to explain. No need to say more, I believe you, no explanation is needed. I just hope that you can work harder and don't let me down. Wei Dongqiang interrupted Lin Yun and said seriously. However, before Lin Yun could finish his words, Wei Dongqiang interrupted him. What Lin Yun wanted to say was, Mr. Li asked me to come here, what does it have to do with you? But when the words came to his lips, Lin Yun swallowed them back, because he knew that Wei Dongqiang was an old fox, so he should be more careful. Lin Yun didn't say anything, just waited quietly for Li Ting to come back. He didn't know why Li Ting brought him here. 10 minutes later, Lin Yun could no longer sit still. He began to look around and found that the entire private room was luxuriously decorated and the decoration was very exquisite. It looked very expensive. Lin Yun looked at Wei Dongqiang, wanting to know why he was called here, but seeing Wei Dongqiang hugging 2 beauties, Lin Yun didn't want to disturb them, so he sat on the sofa and looked at his phone, browsing his circle of friends. At this time, Huang Shanshan sent a message. You're here, haven't you finished get off work yet? I haven't gotten off work yet. I have a social engagement today. After sending the message, Lin Yun recorded a video and sent it to Huang Shanshan. Chapter 14 She's pregnant. Huang Shanshan saw the video message sent by Lin Yun. When she clicked on the video, she saw Wei Dongqiang hugging 2 women, which made him feel uncomfortable. But it was hard to say whether Lin Yun sent this video to her on purpose, so she replied to Lin Yun, then you go ahead and get busy. After a while, Li Ting returned to the room and saw Lin Yun standing aside watching, so he interrupted him and motioned for Lin Yun to come and sit down. The woman next to Wei Dongqiang left the room, and Li Ting went straight to the point. Manager Wei, did you have a good time? Li Ting asked with a smile. Thank you Mr. Li for your hospitality, Wei Dongqiang said politely. Okay, let's get down to business. I want to get some benefits from this project of Chinju Group and Nangua Industrial. I wonder if Manager Wei has any good ideas in this regard. Li Ting looked at Wei Dongqiang and asked for his opinion. Mr. Li, there is definitely a way, but how much do you want? Wei Dongqiang looked at Li Ting. Not much, 50 million. Li Ting said calmly. Lin Yun was shocked to hear that the first price was 50 million. He looked at Wei Dongqiang and found that Wei Dongqiang's expression did not change. It seemed that he had known that Li Ting would ask for a high price, so he did not show any shock at all. What's the matter, Manager Wei? Are you in trouble? Li Ting looked at Wei Dongqiang with a smile, his eyes narrowed into slits. No, of course not, I'm just thinking about what method to use. Wei Dongqiang replied. Let me give you an idea. Wouldn't it be better if we could save a little bit of cost? Lin Yun heard the conversation between the two and decided to leave. Mr. Lee, Manager Wei, you guys chat, I'll go back first. After saying this, Lin Yun turned around and left the private room. Huang Shanshan watched the video sent by Lin Yun repeatedly, and she decided to send a message to Wei Dongqiang. The beauty next to you is so beautiful, don't come to me next time. Wei Dongqiang was chatting enthusiastically with Li Ting. When he saw the message and the attached video sent by Huang Shanshan, he was stunned. He stood up and said to Li Ting, Mr. Li, that's it for today. I have something to do, so I'll leave first. After that, Wei Dongqiang hurriedly walked out of the box without caring about Li Ting's expression. Shanshan, it's not what you think. I was wrong. Wei Dongqiang replied to the message while driving. HMPH, you are the most hypocritical man I have ever met. I'm so glad to give my body to you. Huang Shanshan sneered. Seeing Huang Shanshan's expression, Wei Dongqiang felt flustered. He knew Huang Shanshan was angry. He didn't care about anything else and quickly sent a message to Huang Shanshan. Shanshan, I'm sorry, don't be angry with me. Looking at the message sent by Wei Dongqiang, Huang Shanshan felt a little disappointed. She ignored Wei Dongqiang, put away her phone, stopped looking at this man, and continued browsing her circle of friends. Suddenly, everything went dark and Huang Shanshan fell to the ground. When Lin Yun returned home, he was shocked to see Huang Shanshan lying on the ground. He quickly squatted down and helped Huang Shanshan up. Shanshan, wake up, don't scare me. Lin Yun shook Huang Shanshan's shoulders and found that Huang Shanshan was motionless. He was so scared that he quickly dialed the 120 emergency number. The ambulance arrived quickly and Huang Shanshan was carried into the ambulance. Lin Yun also followed the ambulance to the hospital. Lin Yun stood in front of the emergency room door, waiting for the emergency doctor to push Huang Shanshan out of the emergency room. Doctor, is my girlfriend okay? Lin Yun asked anxiously. Don't worry, let's see what the situation is first. The doctor looked at Lin Yun and comforted him. Okay, thank you. Lin Yun felt relieved after hearing what the doctor said, and then the doctor pushed Huang Shanshan into the emergency room. Lin Yun was waiting outside, he just hoped that nothing would happen to Huang Shanshan. Half an hour later, the doctor pushed Huang Shanshan out of the emergency room, and Lin Yun hurried to meet him. Doctor, how is my girlfriend? Lin Yun asked anxiously. The patient is fine, and there is good news. What good news? Lin Yun was so happy to hear that Huang Shanshan was fine, and asked quickly. She's pregnant, congratulations. The doctor congratulated Lin Yun. Pregnant. Lin Yun was stunned when he heard the news, and then after 0.5 seconds he became very excited. So, I'm going to be a father? Lin Yun asked. Yes, it's been 2 months. Congratulations. The doctor nodded in confirmation. Thank you, doctor, thank you so much. Lin Yun was so excited that he didn't know what to say. He was really worried that something might happen to Huang Shanshan, but fortunately, nothing happened. You young people must take care of your health and never do any strenuous exercise to avoid hurting the child, the doctor advised. Yes, thank you, doctor, Lin Yun nodded quickly. Okay, you take care of her, I'll go back to work first. After saying that, the doctor turned and left. Lin Yun returned to the ward and took a look at Huang Shanshan. He ran down the stairs to pay the fee and returned to the bedside. Looking at Huang Shanshan's haggard appearance, his heart was filled with pity. He stretched out his right hand and stroked Huang Shanshan's hair, his eyes full of tenderness. A sweet smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. He really didn't expect that he would become a father. He was so happy, but he was also worried about Huang Shanshan's condition. Thinking of this, Lin Yun took out his mobile phone and called his parents to tell them the news that Huang Shanshan was pregnant. Then he sent them a photo of Huang Shanshan in the hospital to let them see that Huang Shanshan was very weak and they should take care of themselves. After hanging up the phone, Lin Yun took Huang Shanshan's hand and placed it on his chest. Shanshan, don't worry, the child is mine, Lin Yun's. I will take care of you and will never let you suffer any grievances. Lin Yun muttered silently in his heart. Lin Yun looked at Huang Shanshan sleeping and a happy smile appeared on his lips. In this way, Lin Yun lay on the hospital bed, guarding Huang Shanshan. The next day, Huang Shanshan woke up and found herself lying on a hospital bed with Lin Yun by her side. She looked at Lin Yun and felt warm and at ease, but she didn't know what had happened or why she was in the hospital. Thinking of this, Wang Shanshan frowned and thought. Suddenly, she remembered something. She sent a message to Wei Dongqiang last night, then scrolled through her moments, and then woke up in the hospital. Wang Shanshan immediately stood up when she thought of this and wanted to put on her shoes and get out of bed. Lin Yun, who was sleeping on the side, woke up and saw Wang Shanshan sitting up and asked, "What's wrong, Shanshan?" "It's okay, I'll go to the bathroom." Wang Shanshan got out of bed, put on her shoes and walked towards the bathroom. "Hey, slow down." Seeing Wang Shanshan so anxious, Lin Yun shouted with concern. After a while, Wang Shanshan returned to the ward and looked at Lin Yun and asked, "Why am I in the hospital? When I got home, I saw you fainted. I was so scared that I rushed you to the hospital. The doctor said you were pregnant." Chapter 15. The child is not his. Pregnant. Wang Shanshan widened her eyes when she heard Lin Yun's words. "What did you say? Pregnant?" Wang Shanshan couldn't believe her ears. She didn't believe that she was pregnant. "Yes." Lin Yun replied. "How is that possible?" Wang Shanshan murmured. "Shanshan, this is true. The doctor told me this himself." Lin Yun said. "Well, you're about 2 months pregnant." 2 months. Wang Shanshan murmured. "Shanshan, this is a good thing, why are you unhappy?" Lin Yun looked at Wang Shanshan with an incredulous look and asked puzzledly. "Since you are pregnant, Shanshan, please marry me." Lin Yun said to Wang Shanshan. "Yun, I haven't reacted yet. Let me think about it." Wang Shanshan said in a low voice. "Shanshan, I'm ready. Whether you accept me or not, I am willing to take care of you and the baby in your belly." Lin Yun insisted. Wang Shanshan fell into silence after hearing Lin Yun's words. Her mind was in a mess. She really had never thought that she would be pregnant. Wang Shanshan felt very conflicted after hearing these words. She did not agree to Lin Yun immediately because she needed to calm down. She was 100% sure that this child was not Lin Yun's. Hearing Lin Yun's words, Wang Shanshan looked down at her abdomen, then raised her head and looked at Lin Yun and said, Yun, give me some time. Okay, I respect you. I will always be by your side as long as you need me. Lin Yun replied. After hearing Lin Yun's words, Wang Shanshan's nose suddenly felt a little sour and she didn't know what to say. It took a long time for Wang Shanshan to calm down her inner turmoil. Yun, go out and buy breakfast. I'm hungry. Wang Shanshan said. Lin Yun nodded and left the ward. After Lin Yun left the ward, Wang Shanshan took out her cell phone from her pocket. She was still thinking about what Lin Yun said. She looked at the number on her phone, hesitated for a long time, and finally pressed the dial button. The call was connected after just 2 rings. Wei Dongqiang saw that it was Wang Shanshan calling, so he quickly picked up the phone. Shanshan, have you forgiven me? I called you to tell you that I'm pregnant. Wang Shanshan said slowly. What? Wei Dongqiang was a little surprised when he heard Wang Shanshan's words. He didn't expect Wang Shanshan to be pregnant. How is that possible? Didn't we take protective measures that night? Wei Dongqiang asked puzzledly. I'm pregnant. The doctor checked it. What? Shanshan, are you kidding me? Wei Dongqiang asked in surprise. I didn't lie to you. It's true that I'm pregnant. I'm pregnant with your child. Wang Shanshan said calmly. Wei Dongqiang was stunned when he heard Wang Shanshan's words. He didn't expect things to turn out like this. It took a long time for Wei Dongqiang to come back to his senses. Okay, no more talking. Lin Yun is back. Wang Shanshan hung up Wei Dongqiang's phone, put the phone back in her pocket, and ignored Wei Dongqiang. Lin Yun bought the meal and returned to the ward. Shanshan, it's time to eat. Come, I'll feed you. Lin Yun brought a bowl of porridge to the table and said to Wang Shanshan. Yeah. Wang Shanshan nodded slightly. Come, have a spoonful and try it. Lin Yun scooped a spoonful of porridge and handed it to Wang Shanshan's mouth, waiting for Wang Shanshan to drink the porridge. Yeah. Wang Shanshan nodded and took a sip. When Lin Yun saw Wang Shanshan's expression as she drank porridge, a happy smile appeared on his face. Shanshan, you know, I have never been as happy as I am today. Lin Yun said excitedly. After hearing Lin Yun's words, Huang Shanshan looked at Lin Yun. She didn't expect that Lin Yun would be so happy because of her. Looking at the bright smile on Lin Yun's face, Huang Shanshan also smiled sweetly. After breakfast, I went back home after completing the paperwork. Shanshan, don't go to work today. Have a good rest. No, I'm fine. Didn't the doctor say it's only been 2 months? I can do it. Huang Shanshan shook her head and refused. Seeing Huang Shanshan was so determined, Lin Yun didn't know what to say. Okay then, I'll go to work. Lin Yun said to Huang Shanshan. Well, be careful on the road. Huang Shanshan said with concern. Lin Yun felt very happy to hear Huang Shanshan's caring words. Watching Lin Yun leave, Huang Shanshan went into the bathroom, washed up, changed into clean clothes, and then went to the company. Wei Dongqiang was sitting in the office thinking about Huang Shanshan's pregnancy. He didn't know how to deal with it. After all, the baby in Huang Shanshan's belly was his, not Lin Yun's. Knock, knock, knock. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. Wei Dongqiang calmed down and said, "Come in." The door was pushed open and the finance officer walked in with a document. The finance manager put the document on Wei Dongqiang's desk and said, "Manager, this is exactly what you wanted." Well, leave it there, thank you, Wei Dongqiang nodded and said. Okay, manager, I'll be out first. The finance department said and left the office. This document is a quotation for engineering procurement. He and Li Ting discussed it for a long time last night and finally decided to make money from the raw materials. Looking at the quotation sent by the finance department, Wei Dongqiang nodded with satisfaction. Although it was a big project, he felt more at ease if he was in charge of it. Wei Dongqiang quickly selected several more affordable suppliers, made a phone call to arrange a time, had them come to the company, and negotiated the contract with them. After confirming the specific details, he had someone draft a contract. While they were drafting the contract, Wei Dongqiang discussed it with Li Ting in detail again. After confirming that everything was correct, he asked them to go through the formalities and then waited for them to sign the contract. I'm really going to make a fortune this time, Li Ting said excitedly while holding the contract. He held the contract tightly in his hand, his eyes shining, as if he had anticipated that his money would soon roll in. 50 million, a full 50 million. After managing some relationships, this money is enough for Li Ting to squander for a while. Thinking of this, Li Ting couldn't help but sigh. Leuren's investigation plan also began to progress. After many investigations, she knew that Huang Shanshan was pregnant with Wei Dongqiang's child. This made Leuren feel very complicated, but she was also very glad that Huang Shanshan had his child, so there would be no obstacles between them in court. But she didn't want to take action so early, so she could only observe Wei Dongqiang first and wait for the right opportunity before taking action. Sister Leuren, what's wrong with you? Li Yinger looked at Leuren and said. After hearing what Li Yinger said, Leuren came back to his senses and a smile appeared on his face. Nothing, I'm just thinking about something, Leuren said with a faint smile. Hearing Leuren's words, Li Yinger curled her lips and said nothing. Chapter 16 Save Her. 7 o'clock in the evening. Lin Yun came to the door of Huang Shanshan's company, waiting to get off work with her. He stood at the door, watching people coming out one after another, and soon Huang Shanshan came out. Come on, let's go home. Yeah. Huang Shanshan nodded, took Lin Yun's arm, and the two walked outside together, crossed the road, and got into a taxi. After returning home, Lin Yun prepared dinner for Huang Shanshan and him as usual. At this time, Lin Yun received a call from Zhu Liwen. He only heard Zhu Liwen's voice on the other end of the phone in a very urgent tone. Hey, Yun, come and save me, I've been drugged. I'm in the women's room in the dynamic zone, help me. Zhu Liwen finished speaking intermittently, and Lin Yun immediately realized what was going on after hearing her words. After hanging up the phone, Lin Yun glanced at Huang Shanshan who was watching TV, and then said to her, Shanshan, something happened to my friend, I have to go over there, so I can't finish the meal with you. It's okay, just go ahead. Lin Yun nodded, took his clothes, put them on and ran outside. After running out of the community, he hailed a taxi on the roadside and headed straight for the dynamic zone. The dynamic zone bar is not far from the residential area where Lin Yun lives, and Lin Yun quickly arrived at the dynamic zone. As soon as he got off the car, Lin Yun rushed in. Looking at the lights in the bar and the crazy swaying bodies of men and women on the dance floor, Lin Yun frowned and looked at a man in black at the bar. The waitress, who was wearing a sexy short skirt and long hair, asked, "Miss, where is the bathroom?" The waitress looked up at Lin Yun, then smiled and pointed in a direction. "Thank you." Lin Yun nodded and walked to the bathroom door in the direction indicated by the waiter. He saw three burly men standing at the door. Sitting on the seat next to him was a gentle-looking young man wearing a black suit and gold-rimmed glasses. He was drinking a glass of Granger in his hand. In front of him was a lady's crossbody bag. Lin Yun guessed that the bag should belong to Zhu Liwen. He walked into the men's room, took out his cell phone to call Zhu Liwen, and went to the toilet at the same time. At this time, Zhu Liwen had been drugged and her head was dizzy. She had no idea what she was doing. She only knew that her whole body was hot and uncomfortable, as if there were millions of ants crawling on her. This feeling made her very uncomfortable. She felt her mouth was very dry, her throat was dry, and even her tongue was extremely dry. Huang Shanshan was watching TV and sitting on the sofa waiting for Lin Yun to come back when her phone rang. "Shanshan, come down, I'm downstairs." Wei Dongqiang stood beside the car and looked at the window on the floor where Huang Shanshan was. Huang Shanshan heard Wei Dongqiang's voice on the other end of the phone, so she walked to the window, opened it and looked down. Sure enough, Wei Dongqiang was standing there. Huang Shanshan hung up the phone, put on her clothes and went downstairs. Lin Yun called Zhu Liwen. Her phone rang and he walked slowly outside. Seeing that Zhu Liwen didn't answer the phone, he wanted to listen to the ringing tone and determine her location. However, the music in the bar was so loud that he couldn't hear the source of the ringing tone. Helplessly, Lin Yun looked around and saw that no one was in the women's restroom, so he walked in. I knocked on the door one by one, but there was no response. So Lin Yun continued knocking. After knocking on several rooms, he finally heard a girl's voice, "Someone's here." When Lin Yun heard that it was not Zhu Liwen's voice, he continued to knock on the door next to him. Seeing no response from inside, he turned the doorknob and found that the door was locked. So he tried to twist the doorknob, but found that it would not open no matter how hard he tried. "Zhu Liwen, are you in there?" Lin Yun shouted, hoping that Zhu Liwen would agree to him. But there was still no response from inside. Lin Yun wondered if Zhu Liwen had fainted, so he walked to the sink, scooped some water with his hands, and threw it in. The water fell on Zhu Liwen's face, making her a little sober. Lin Yun continued to ask at the door, "Zhu Liwen, are you in there?" "I am Lin Yun." Zhu Liwen opened her hazy eyes and heard Lin Yun calling her. She opened the bathroom door weakly and fell into Lin Yun's arms. "You're finally here." Zhu Liwen reeked of alcohol and had a strong smell of perfume on her body. Lin Yun helped Zhu Liwen walk out of the toilet. Zhu Liwen's steps were unsteady, and Lin Yun was worried that she would not be able to walk steadily, so he helped her walk forward. "By the way, is the bag on the seat yours?" Lin Yun pointed to the bag on the chair. At this time, the three strong men who were blocking the toilet surrounded him. "It's mine." Zhu Liwen replied weakly. Lin Yun supported Zhu Liwen, picked up Zhu Liwen's cross-body bag and put it across his body. The young man sitting on the chair stood up. "Who are you? How dare you ruin my business?" He glared at Lin Yun and asked. Lin Yun looked at the four of them and said, "What does this have to do with you? Get lost." The four men didn't expect Lin Yun to be so arrogant. One of the men yelled, "Millimeter, you're ruining our young master's business. I'm going to kill you today." Then he swung his fist at Lin Yun's face. Lin Yun had been on guard for a long time. When he saw the other party attacking him, Lin Yun dodged sideways and raised his leg to kick the other party. The other party did not expect Lin Yun to kick suddenly. He was caught off guard and was kicked in the chest by Lin Yun. He flew backwards and fell on the wall next to him. "Damn, how dare you touch me?" The other three men became furious upon seeing this and rushed towards Lin Yun. Lin Yun looked at the three men attacking him, but he did not panic. He put Zhu Liwen on a chair, and quickly stretched out his hand to block one of the men's fist. Then he grabbed the other man's wrist and swung it hard. The other man fell to the ground, screaming in pain. The bar's security guards heard the noise and rushed over. They were all shocked by the scene in front of them, not understanding what was going on. "No trouble in the bar." One of the security guards yelled at Lin Yun. Lin Yun snorted coldly when he heard this, glanced at the people around him, then turned around and yelled at the security guard. They were the first to start the fight. "Why are you yelling at me?" Upon hearing this, the security guard lowered his head and dared not say another word. One of them saw that the situation was not good, and took out a dagger from his trouser pocket while Lin Yun was negotiating with the two security guards, and stabbed Lin Yun in the lower abdomen. Seeing this, Lin Yun quickly dodged and avoided the opponent's attack, but his right arm was still scratched and bleeding. He glanced at his arm, then at Zhu Liwen behind him. He gritted his teeth, rushed towards the man, and knocked him to the ground with one move. Then, he stepped on the man's left wrist with his foot and pressed his knee against the man's stomach. The series of moves were smooth and fast, and all four of them were knocked to the ground. He walked to the chair and picked up Zhu Liwen, turned back and gave the young man a fierce look, then carried Zhu Liwen out of the bar. Lin Yun gently patted Zhu Liwen's face and said, "Where do you live? I'll take you back." Zhu Liwen was unconscious and replied confusedly, "I'm in Liuxi apartment." "Well, okay, I'll take you home." Lin Yun picked up Zhu Liwen, hailed a taxi on the side of the road, and drove towards Liuxi apartment. Chapter 17. Zhu Liwen who loves Lin Yun. Huang Shanshan got into the car, Wei Dongqiang started the car, and the car left the community. "Where are you taking me?" Huang Shanshan asked curiously. "It's a secret. I want to give you a surprise." Wei Dongqiang kept it a secret and did not answer Huang Shanshan's question. Huang Shanshan curled her lips, ignored Wei Dongqiang, turned her head and looked out the window, looking at the scenery outside. "By the way, Shanshan, isn't Lin Yun at home tonight?" Wei Dongqiang asked. He said something happened at his friend's place and he left without even having dinner with me. If he were at home, would I come down to see you?" Huang Shanshan rolled her eyes at Wei Dongqiang. He. Wei Dongqiang laughed dryly twice, but didn't dare to say anything. The car drove all the way to the entrance of a high-end residential area and stopped. Wei Dongqiang opened the door and walked out. Huang Shanshan also got out of the car when she saw this. She saw a luxurious apartment building in front of her. Looking inside from the car, she could vaguely see several high-rise apartments. Huang Shanshan guessed that this should be Wei Dongqiang's home, right? From the moment she had sex with Wei Dongqiang, she didn't know where Wei Dongqiang lived, nor had she heard Wei Dongqiang mention it. Every time he was either at her and Lin Yun's home or in a hotel. But tonight he actually brought her to Wei Dongqiang's house, and she just said she wanted to give her a surprise. Wei Dongqiang walked to Huang Shanshan and took her hand. Huang Shanshan did not refuse and let Wei Dongqiang lead her towards the elevator. The elevator went up to the 18th floor and stopped. Then the door slowly opened. Wei Dongqiang took Huang Shanshan out and came to the door of a house. Wei Dongqiang took out the key and asked Huang Shanshan to close her eyes. Huang Shanshan closed her eyes as she was told. Wei Dongqiang opened the door and walked in, taking Huang Shanshan's hand. "Shanshan, open your eyes." Wei Dongqiang called softly. Hearing Wei Dongqiang's words, Huang Shanshan opened her eyes. What came into her sight was a spacious living room with some decorations placed inside and a huge oil painting hanging on the wall. The painting was of herself, and she was wearing a blue dress. The paint on the oil painting has been wiped clean, revealing its original color. When Huang Shanshan saw this painting, she felt inexplicably moved. "Shanshan, are you satisfied with the treatment?" Wei Dongqiang asked, his eyes full of expectation. "Yeah, I like it very much." Huang Shanshan smiled slightly and said the most true words from her heart. "Shanshan, let's go into the bedroom now." Wei Dongqiang took Huang Shanshan's hand and walked into the bedroom. The bedroom was very large and decorated in European style. "How do you like it?" "Yeah," Huang Shanshan nodded and looked around the furnishings in the room. "I'm glad you like it. Here is the key. From now on, this house is yours." Wei Dongqiang said and handed the key to Huang Shanshan. Huang Shanshan was stunned when she heard Wei Dongqiang's words. "Shanshan, this is the surprise I gave you today, just accept it." Wei Dongqiang added, "The child is ours, give birth to it and I will raise it." But. Huang Shanshan didn't know how to refuse Wei Dongqiang for a moment. After all, Wei Dongqiang was right. The child was his, and she couldn't deprive him of his right to be a father. "But what?" Wei Dongqiang asked. "I have a boyfriend and you have a wife," Wang Shanshan expressed her concerns. I don't mind. Wei Dongqiang said with a smile, besides, I love you, I can divorce my wife. Wang Shanshan felt relieved after hearing what Wei Dongqiang said. When she had sex with him, she didn't think about the future, but now Wei Dongqiang gave her a future. Wang Shanshan didn't say anything else, just nodded. Seeing this, Wei Dongqiang showed an excited expression on his face. He hugged Wang Shanshan and kissed her red lips deeply. Wang Shanshan also responded to Wei Dongqiang's passionate kiss enthusiastically. After a long kiss, Wei Dongqiang looked at Wang Shanshan in his arms. Shanshan, I love you. This house belongs to you and the baby in your belly. Wei Dongqiang said this and carried Wang Shanshan to the bed and lay down. Wang Shanshan looked at Wei Dongqiang and felt sweet in her heart. Although Wei Dongqiang said that he didn't mind divorcing his ex-wife, he could accept her, and Wang Shanshan also felt very happy. I will take good care of you and the baby, Wei Dongqiang said, stroking Wang Shanshan's belly. Wang Shanshan nodded slightly, staring at Wei Dongqiang with her cheeks flushed. Liuxi Apartments. Lin Yun put Zhu Liwen on the bed, helped her take off her shoes, covered her with a blanket, and prepared to leave. Just as Lin Yun was about to turn around, Zhu Liwen suddenly grabbed Lin Yun's hand and said, I have something else to tell you. Zhu Lia looked at Lin Yun and said what was in her heart. She wanted to tell Lin Yun that she had liked him for many years and she just wanted to be with Lin Yun forever. Lin Yun frowned slightly when he heard Zhu Liwen's words, then withdrew his hand indifferently. Sorry, I'm not interested in knowing this. Lin Yun turned around and prepared to leave. Yun. Is there anything else? Lin Yun turned around and asked. Zhu Liwen hesitated to speak. If it's nothing important, I'll leave. Also, be careful when you go out drinking alone next time. Lin Yun said as he prepared to leave. Yun. Looking at Lin Yun's back, Zhu Liwen shouted, and couldn't help but cry. Hearing Zhu Liwen crying, Lin Yun stopped, slowly turned around, looked at Zhu Liwen with a frown. Zhu Liwen looked at Lin Yun and slowly walked towards him. After she reached Lin Yun, she hugged him from behind and buried her head in his shoulder. Yun, I have liked you for a long time. I know that compared to Wang Shanshan. Enough, stop talking, Lin Yun said coldly, broke free from Zhu Liwen's embrace, turned around, and strode out of the room. Zhu Liwen stood there looking at Lin Yun's back, feeling very sad. She was unwilling to accept losing to Wang Shanshan like this. She decided it was time to release the indecent video of Shanshan and Wei Dongqiang and send it to Lin Yun. She didn't believe that Lin Yun had no feelings for her. As long as he knew about this video, Lin Yun would definitely give up Wang Shanshan and be with her. Lin Yun walked out of the room, left Liuxi apartment, and returned home. He found that Wang Shanshan was not at home. He immediately dialed Wang Shanshan's mobile number, but the line was always busy, so he could only send her a message. Where are you? The message was sent successfully, but Wang Shanshan did not reply to him. Lin Yun waited in the living room for a while, but did not receive any reply from Wang Shanshan, so he returned to the bedroom, found the medicine box, bandaged the wound simply, and lay down to rest. Chapter 18 What is this love? The next morning, when Lin Yun woke up, it was already past 8 o'clock in the morning. He looked at the bed beside him and suddenly felt lost. Lin Yun got up, washed, dressed, went downstairs, bought breakfast and came to the company. As usual, after he arrived at the company, he would check to see if Wei Dongqiang had come. But today was just like usual. He didn't see Wei Dongqiang. After breakfast, he called Wang Shanshan. The cell phone rang and Wang Shanshan opened her eyes. She touched the phone on the bedside table, picked it up and saw that it was Lin Yun calling. He patted his cheek to sober himself, moved Wei Dongqiang's arm away from his body, and then answered the call. Hey, Yun. Where are you now? What were you doing last night and why didn't you come back? Lin Yun asked calmly. I'm at the company now. I went to my best friend's house yesterday. She broke up so I stayed at her house. Wang Shanshan made up a lie and explained. She didn't dare to let Lin Yun know that she slept with Wei Dongqiang. Okay, I get it. Don't be too tired and remember to take a nap. You're pregnant. Lin Yun reminded. I will. Then you go to work. I won't disturb you anymore. Wang Shanshan said and hung up the phone. She looked at Wei Dongqiang lying next to her, Her heart warmed and a happy smile appeared on the corner of her mouth. She rested her head on Wei Dongqian's arm, closed her eyes, and enjoyed the warmth of their solitude. After Lin Yun hung up the phone, he stared at the computer screen in a daze. An email popped up at the bottom of the screen, and Lin Yun clicked the mouse to open it. The content is a string of text: "Don't ask who I am. Please delete the email after reading the following content." Lin Yun slid the mouse wheel in confusion and saw the content of the email, which read: "Look through the D drive on Wei Dongqian's computer, in the Steam folder, click on the hidden file and you will find what you need there." After reading the email, Lin Yun hesitated for a moment and then deleted it. After deleting the email, he stood up and sneaked into Wei Dongqian's office for the second time while his colleagues were busy working. Lin Yun opened Wei Dongqian's computer and found a Steam folder inside. He clicked into the folder and checked the option to show hidden files. He made a few quick adjustments, but when he opened the folder it said, "Please enter password." Lin Yun frowned as he looked at the password box. There was no password in the email. How could he open it? Lin Yun shook his head helplessly. He pressed the most common password 12345 again, but it still didn't work, no matter what number he pressed. Damn it. Lin Yun cursed inwardly and looked at the computer, at a loss as to what to do. At this moment, the phone in his pocket vibrated. Lin Yun took out his phone and saw that it was the person who sent the email just now. "Sorry, I forgot to give you the password. The password is HXX12.13. Please delete the email after reading it." After knowing the password, Lin Yun deleted the email and re-entered it. The file was opened. He clicked on one of the files and saw that the header of the file was the agreement between Wei Dongqian and Li Teng. Looking at the agreement, Lin Yun clicked on the first page and read it carefully. This agreement clearly states the bidding projects between Nanguo Industrial, Beinan Group and Xinju Group. Lin Yun looked at this project, he also participated in it. He didn't expect Wei Dongqian's appetite to be so big, he got 30 million in it. He looked at the document and realized that he had underestimated Wei Dongqian. Lin Yun closed the file, logged into his QQ on Wei Dongqian's computer, and sent the file to his secondary account. Then Lin Yun saw a compressed package with photos marked on it. Lin Yun opened the compressed package, it still had the same password. After decompressing it, there were several photos and videos inside. He clicked on the first photo and saw a woman on it. This person was Huang Shanshan. Huang Shanshan was sitting on the sofa, looking drunk, with Wei Dongqian lying beside her. Huang Shanshan and Wei Dongqian were leaning against each other tightly, looking very ambiguous. The moment Lin Yun saw the photo, he was stunned. He didn't expect that Huang Shanshan and Wei Dongqian had such a relationship. He was cheated on by his own woman. After looking at the photos, Lin Yun clicked on the video below. The video contained photos of Wei Dongqian and Huang Shanshan on the bed, and there were some ambiguous shots. Huang Shanshan also enjoyed it very much and even cooperated with Wei Dongqian's actions. Watching these videos and pictures, his hands clenched into fists, veins exposed. He didn't know why Huang Shanshan had such a relationship with Wei Dongqian, but it was undeniable that he was heartbroken. Huang Shanshan actually did this with Wei Dongqian, she actually had sex with Wei Dongqian. She actually stopped resisting, stopped refusing, and even took the initiative to throw herself into his arms. This made Lin Yun even more sad, as if his heart was being torn apart by a knife. He took a deep breath and suppressed his inner anger. Lin Yun copied all the files, turned off the computer, and then stood up and walked out of Wei Dongqian's office. Returning to his workstation, he touched his face to make himself look calm, but he still couldn't control his emotions. He didn't dare to go to Huang Shanshan to question her, nor did he dare to ask her, because he was afraid that he would lose control. But he was in great pain inside. He felt betrayed and deceived. He didn't know what was wrong with him and why he became like this. Why? He didn't believe it, he didn't want to accept it. He really couldn't understand why Huang Shanshan became like this. Was their 8-year love fake? Was it just my wishful thinking? If so, then what was I? What is this love? Lin Yun felt like a fool. He was kept in the dark and fooled by Huang Shanshan. When he thought of this, he became upset and pushed the documents on the table to the ground. All the colleagues around him looked at him. But he decided that he would resign. Xu Qingya and Xu Lei, who was sitting far away, walked over to Lin Yun. Xu Qingye saw Lin Yun throwing things and asked with concern, "What's wrong with you? What happened?" "Nothing, nothing." Lin Yun forced a smile, then looked at Xu Qingye and said, "Thank you for your help, but I can't stay here any longer. I'm going to go through the resignation procedures now." Hearing Lin Yun's words, Xu Lei, who was standing aside, frowned, his heart filled with confusion. What was going on? He didn't understand what had happened to Lin Yun all of a sudden and why he suddenly resigned. Xu Lei was just about to ask Lin Yun what was going on when he saw Lin Yun walking outside. Xu Lei looked at Lin Yun's back as he left, frowning and feeling confused. He had a bad feeling in his heart, but he didn't ask any more questions. Lin Yun took the resignation letter, walked into the Human Resources Department, and handed it to the Human Resources Manager. After the HR manager received the resignation report from Lin Yun, he looked up at Lin Yun. "You want to resign?" Lin Yun nodded. "Why did you resign? What happened?" Lin Yun shook his head. "No, it's none of your business, just go through the formalities." He threw the report on the table and left the HR department. Chapter 19. Thank you for loving me. Lin Yun sat in the car with the window open. The breeze made him feel sober, and soon the car arrived at the riverside. He took out a cigarette from his pocket, took out a cigarette and put it in his mouth, lit it and smoked it. He kept thinking about Wang Shanshan in his heart, and he felt very sad. He took a deep puff of his cigarette, exhaled fiercely, looked at the river with cold eyes, his heart filled with sadness. Lin Yun thought about all the years he had given to Wang Shanshan and how good he had been to her, but how did she treat him? She actually betrayed him and the feelings they had had for so many years. Zhu Liwen logged out of her email account, turned off her computer and called Lin Yun. Lin Yun took a look at the incoming call, put out the cigarette in his hand, took a few deep breaths, adjusted his mentality and answered the phone. "Hey, what's up? Where are you? I have something to discuss with you." Lin Yun glanced at the river and replied, "I'm by the river, come find me." When Zhu Liwen heard Lin Yun say he was by the river, she hung up the phone. Half an hour later, Zhu Liwen appeared in Lin Yun's sight. She was wearing a black dress, sunglasses, and high heels. She walked towards him. Lin Yun looked at the woman in front of him, he sighed slightly and said, "Sit down." Zhu Liwen walked to the bench next to Lin Yun and sat down. "What do you want from me?" Lin Yun asked calmly. Zhu Liwen looked at Jiang Shui and was silent for a moment. She looked at Lin Yun with burning eyes. She looked at Lin Yun and said, Yun, do you know why I like you?" Lin Yun saw Zhu Liwen looking at him seriously. His expression was stiff, but soon returned to normal. He asked coldly, "Why?" Zhu Liwen looked at Lin Yun, a smile appeared on her lips, and she said, "Because you protected me when I was in school." Hearing Zhu Liwen's words, Lin Yun looked at her with doubts in his eyes. "Remember, when I was a freshman in high school, I just came to number 1 middle school. I didn't know anyone, but I never got into trouble. But one day, a girl from the next class came to me and said that I bumped into her on the stairs after school. Then she dragged me out of the girls' dormitory and wanted to beat me up." Having said this, Zhu Liwen glanced at Lin Yun. Lin Yun glanced at Zhu Liwen. His brows furrowed as he recalled that scene. "I don't like fighting with people. I wanted to avoid it, but the girl grabbed me and wouldn't let go. I couldn't break free, so I started fighting with her. Unfortunately, there were more people on the other side, so I was eventually knocked to the ground by her. Then a bunch of men came over and surrounded me. I was terrified at the time, and then you came over and took my hand and wanted to leave, but the boy opposite wouldn't let you, and then you two started fighting, but they didn't hit you." Lin Yun looked at Zhu Liwen, and he remembered that this was the reason why she liked him for so many years. He looked at Zhu Liwen, and a warm feeling surged in his heart. "Thank you for liking me." Hearing Lin Yun's words, Zhu Liwen shook her head and said, "I hope I can stay with you." Lin Yun was silent. He knew what Zhu Liwen was thinking and how she felt about him. But he couldn't accept her because of Wang Shanshan. The two of them were not of the same kind. He didn't want to delay Zhu Liwen. "You are a good girl and you should marry a good boy, not me." When Zhu Liwen heard Lin Yun's words, her face changed and her eyes dimmed. She looked at Lin Yun and said, "So when are you going to marry Huang Shanshan?" Lin Chen glanced at Zhu Liwen and was silent for a moment. "Let's talk about it after I solve this matter. Then if she still doesn't agree to your marriage, how long will you wait?" "That's enough." Lin Yun yelled, I think it's over for today. It's over? Why? Zhu Liwen was stunned and looked at Lin Yun with a puzzled expression. He looked at Zhu Liwen, his eyes filled with determination. Yes, it's over. I think I won't contact Huang Shanshan anymore. Have you two broken up? Yeah, we broke up, but she doesn't know yet. You don't have to like me anymore. I don't want to start a new relationship right after the breakup. I need to think about it. When Zhu Liwen heard Lin Yun's words, her eyes dimmed and her tears rolled down her cheeks. When Lin Yun saw her tears, he suddenly panicked. He reached out to wipe away her tears, but she dodged him. Zhu Liwen looked at Lin Yun deeply, then stood up from the bench. Sorry, I have to go first. After saying that, she turned and left. Lin Yun looked at her back as she left. He wanted to call her, but was afraid of hurting her. Zhu Liwen was walking on the way home, crying her heart out. She was in great pain and tears kept rolling out of her eyes. She never knew what she was expecting. She sent Lin Yun the story about Wei Dongqiang and Huang Shanshan, hoping that he could be with her, but the opposite happened. Wei Dongqiang and Huang Shanshan were lying on the bed, hugging each other tightly. Huang Shanshan lay in Wei Dongqiang's arms, feeling very excited. Her heart was filled with happiness and sweetness because she got what she wanted. Dongqiang, when are you planning to divorce your wife and marry me? Huang Shanshan looked up at Wei Dongqiang expectantly. When this project of Qinju Group is completed, I will divorce her and then I will marry you. Wei Dongqiang put his arm around Huang Shanshan's waist and said affectionately. Okay. Huang Shanshan nodded vigorously, and then said with some concern, I'm worried about Lin Yun. What if he finds out that I lied to him, that I'm with you, and that I'm pregnant with your child? What should I do? Wei Dongqiang chuckled and comforted him, don't worry, I will handle this matter and won't let you be in any danger. Huang Shanshan nodded after hearing Wei Dongqiang's words. She leaned in Wei Dongqiang's arms, feeling the warmth. The two of them sat up from the bed. Huang Shanshan picked up her cell phone and checked the time. It was already 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Dongqiang, it's getting late. I have to go back. Wei Dongqiang reached out and held Huang Shanshan's wrist. His eyes were full of tenderness. He looked at Huang Shanshan, chuckled, and said, Shall I take you home? Anyway, I have nothing to do today, so why not I take you home? Hearing Wei Dongqiang's words, Huang Shanshan nodded. The two came to the parking lot and Wei Dongqiang drove Huang Shanshan back to her residence. Huang Shanshan walked into their house, changed into slippers, took a shower, then lay on the sofa playing with her cell phone, waiting for Lin Yun to come back from get off work. Chapter 20 Let's break up. After Zhu Liwen left, Lin Yun sat by the river until evening. The river breeze blew his clothes and ruffled his hair. Looking at the dark night scene in the distance, his mind involuntarily emerged the time when he first met Huang Shanshan. The first time they met was on a bus going home. Lin Yun sat next to him and Huang Shanshan sat opposite him. The two looked at each other with smiles on their faces, like old friends who had not seen each other for many years. Huang Shanshan looked at Lin Yun opposite her and introduced her name to him, and Lin Yun also introduced himself. The two of them exchanged contact information and their relationship gradually became familiar with each other. One day, the two of them made an appointment and arrived at the bus station early, waiting to go home. In the car, Huang Shanshan talked about the past. Lin Yun, I feel like we knew each other a long time ago, do you still remember? Before the village school was demolished, we might have gone to school together and even been in the same class. But the village school closed down and I went to study in the town. Lin Yun paused while Huang Shanshan was talking, nodded, and recalled what happened before. After the school in the village closed down, my family sent me to study in the city. I went to the 3rd grade of junior high school, and then I met you. Then we are really destined to be together. Lin Yun nodded and said that he was just talking. At that time, Huang Shanshan left a very deep impression on him. After that, the two were admitted to the same high school, assigned to the same class, and they fell in love. Lin Yun stood up and looked at the time. It was already 9 o'clock in the evening. He went to the roadside and hailed a taxi back home. He opened the door and walked into the room, took off his shoes and watched Huang Shanshan sitting on the sofa, watching TV. Seeing Lin Yun coming back, she walked to his side. Are you back? Huang Shanshan looked at Lin Yun and asked. Lin Yun nodded, sat on the sofa and flipped through his phone without saying a word. Huang Shanshan saw that Lin Yun ignored her. She pouted, came to Lin Yun, and hugged Lin Yun's arms with both hands. What's wrong? Is your work not going well? He put his cell phone on the coffee table and moved Huang Shanshan's arm away from him. Don't touch me. Huang Shanshan was stunned for a moment when she heard Lin Yun's cold words. Lin Yun never lost his temper with her. She blinked her eyes and said, "What's wrong with you? Didn't I just ask if your work was not going well?" Lin Yun frowned and said nothing. Huang Shanshan looked at Lin Yun and felt a little uneasy. She looked at the mobile phone on the table and was about to pick it up, but Lin Yun snatched it away. She didn't expect Lin Yun to do this. In the past, when she wanted to look at Lin Yun's phone, Lin Yun would take the initiative to show it to her. Yun, what's wrong with you? Huang Shanshan asked Lin Yun angrily. He would never get angry for no reason, and he would never lose his temper with her for no reason. Lin Yun threw his phone on the sofa. He looked at Huang Shanshan with an expression of disgust on his face. Huang Shanshan looked at Lin Yun's disgusted expression and felt very aggrieved. She bit her lips and her eyes turned red instantly. She reached out and touched the corners of her eyes, which gradually became moist. Yun, how did I make you unhappy? Why are you so angry? Can you tell me? Lin Yun looked at Huang Shanshan's aggrieved expression, and he felt very uncomfortable. However, when he thought of the behavior of Huang Shanshan and Wei Dongqiang, he was very angry. And she pretended to be pitiful even though she had done something wrong. This made Lin Yun hate her even more. He snorted coldly and said nothing. He turned his gaze elsewhere. Yun, don't bother me. Lin Yun yelled. He stood up from the sofa and walked towards the bedroom. Huang Shanshan stared blankly at Lin Yun's back. How could he suddenly become like this? She gritted her teeth and looked towards the bedroom. She knew that Lin Yun must know something, which was why he treated her like this. She walked quickly towards the bedroom and reached out to hold Lin Yun's arm. Yun, listen to my explanation. Things are not what you think. Go away. Don't touch me. I think you're dirty. Yun, I know you are angry, but please believe me. Go away. Lin Yun yelled again and shook off Huang Shanshan's arm. Huang Shanshan staggered a few steps and fell on the bed. She raised her head with a panic-stricken expression on her face. Yun, please, give me a chance to listen to my explanation, okay? Huang Shanshan said, crying. Explain. What do I need you to explain? You've done what Wei Dongqiang did, what else do you have to say? Lin Yun's words were like a wake-up call to Huang Shanshan. Yun, it's not what you said. Wei Dongqiang and I never had any relationship at all. No sex took place, he would hug you, kiss you, he would kiss you, you still want to quibble? If what I said is correct, I didn't come back that night after working overtime, and you said you went to your bestie's house, but you were actually having sex with Wei Dongqiang, right? And that wallet was also left in the hotel by Wei Dongqiang, and then you told me that you picked it up. Do you take me for a fool? I've told you so many times that I want to marry you. The reason you didn't agree is probably because of Wei Dongqiang. And the baby in your belly is also his, right? After hearing Lin Yun's words, Huang Shanshan was very shocked. She never thought that he had guessed this matter. She lowered her head, not daring to look into Lin Yun's eyes again, because she was afraid that he would see the contempt in Lin Yun's eyes. Seeing Huang Shanshan remain silent, Lin Yun's chest rose and fell violently. He took a few deep breaths to calm himself down. He walked to the sofa and sat down, crossing his legs. He looked at Huang Shanshan. Huang Shanshan still kept her head down and didn't look at him. Her tears rolled down her cheeks and splashed on the floor. If you don't say anything, it means you admit it, right? Is there anything else you want to say? I'm sorry. Huang Shanshan raised her head and looked at Lin Yun, saying in a choked voice. When Lin Yun heard Huang Shanshan's apology, he laughed. His laugh was very sarcastic and mixed with anger. He looked at Huang Shanshan. 8 years of love was exchanged for a sorry, which made Lin Yun feel very disappointed. His sincere heart was torn open. Blood was dripping. Huang Shanshan looked at Lin Yun's face, she lowered her head and said nothing. She knew that Lin Yun would not listen to anything she said now, and it would be useless for her to say anything now, because Lin Yun already knew about her relationship with Wei Dongqiang. Let's break up. Lin Yun said indifferently, as if he felt relieved when he said this. He had never been sober before. Wang Shanshan looked at Lin Yun with wide eyes. She didn't expect Lin Yun to break up, which surprised her a little, but she also felt a little relieved in her heart. The relationship between them has deteriorated. Continuing will only hurt both of them. Breaking up is better for everyone. Chapter 21. Actor. Yun, I. She hesitated for a long time, not knowing what to say. Okay, stop talking. I will move out of here tomorrow. I wish you and Wei Dongqiang happiness. Lin Yun glanced at Wang Shanshan, said nothing, turned around and walked out of the room and left the community. Watching Lin Yun's leaving back, Wang Shanshan smiled very happily. She had wanted to find an opportunity to break up with Lin Yun, but this happened ahead of time. Fortunately, my acting skills are good enough that even I believe it myself. Wang Shanshan murmured to herself. After wiping away tears, she took out her cell phone and called Wei Dongqiang. When she heard the phone vibrate, Wei Dongqiang walked carefully to the bathroom and answered it. Hey, come over here. Lin Yun is not at home and I have something to tell you. Wei Dongqiang checked the time on his phone. Wait for me, I'll be there soon. Wang Shanshan hung up the phone and looked at herself in the mirror. Her delicate makeup could not cover up the haggardness and fatigue on her face. She took a deep breath, adjusted her mood, and waited for Wei Dongqiang to arrive. Wei Dongqiang hung up the phone and quietly returned to the room. He looked at Leuren, who was lying next to him. She was sleeping soundly and was not awakened by the ringing just now. He picked up his clothes quietly, opened the bedroom door and walked out. He went downstairs to the parking lot, got his car and drove out of the community. Half an hour later, Wei Dongqiang drove to where Wang Shanshan lived. Wei Dongqiang knocked on the door. She ran over and opened the door immediately after hearing the sound. You're finally here. Wang Shanshan said excitedly, and then pulled Wei Dongqiang into their house. Seeing Wang Shanshan's excitement, Wei Dongqiang sneered. What? Can't wait. Hate it, haven't you enjoyed enough during the day? Wang Shanshan rolled her eyes at Wei Dongqiang. She scolded shyly. Wei Dongqiang laughed dryly twice, and walked into the living room with his arm around Wang Shanshan's waist. Wang Shanshan sat on the sofa, leaning her head on Wei Dongqiang's shoulder, her cheeks slightly red. Tell me, what do you want me to come over for? Wei Dongqiang asked as he sat on the sofa. Lin Yun already knows about us. I broke up with her so that we can be together. So fast? Wei Dongqiang asked in surprise. Are you really willing to break up with him? After all, you've been together for 8 years. 8 years, 8 years. Unfortunately, 8 years of love cannot compare to the joy we had together. I have figured it out. I don't love Lin Yun, so I broke up with him. We won't be happy together. By the way, help me pack my things, I'll come to your place. Okay. Wei Dongqiang nodded. Wang Shanshan didn't have much stuff, so she packed it up quickly. Wei Dongqiang took her suitcase, and the two left the community together. Lin Yun was walking along the roadside. He looked at the scenery around him and suddenly felt empty in his heart. He didn't know where to go next. He quit his job and now he has nothing. He doesn't know where to go. He suddenly feels that his life is lost. Lin Yun, long time no see. Suddenly a BMW stopped beside Lin Yun. The window rolled down, revealing Song Hwan's beautiful face. At this moment, she was looking at Lin Yun with a smile. Seeing that Lin Yun was standing on the side of the road without saying anything, Song Hwan stepped on the accelerator and drove to Lin Yun's side and stopped. Where are you going? Why don't you get in my car? Song Hwan looked at Lin Yun and said with a smile. Lin Yun shook his head. Seeing Lin Yun's refusal, Song Hwan sat in the driver's seat somewhat awkwardly. Her lips were slightly pouted, showing her dissatisfaction at the moment. Lin Yun ignored her, making her feel very embarrassed. Long time no see, I need to find a place to live. That's not that difficult. Why don't you live with me? Song Hwan said to Lin Yun. Isn't this a bad idea? A man and a woman alone in the same room. A man and a woman alone in a room. What's the big deal? It's not like we haven't lived together before. Besides, you can't beat me. We are both adults. What are you worried about? Song Hwan looked at Lin Yun with a smile, with an ambiguous look in her eyes. Lin Yun shook his head. He knew that he could not be her opponent. In that case, he might as well stay at her house for a few days. In his heart, she was only 3 years older than him, and her personality was quite simple. She would not do anything excessive to him. Even if she did, he did not need to be afraid. Lin Yun got into Song Hwan's BMW and drove towards her home. By the way, I haven't seen you for many years. How is your grandfather's health? Song Hwan asked casually. You're still in good health. Why do you still plan to compete with my grandfather? So many years have passed. Lin Yun asked with a smile. Humph, do you think I'm stupid? I had enough of learning martial arts from your grandfather. Of course I don't want to compete. But I am happy to compete with you. Song Hwan pouted and her expression looked very funny and cute when she spoke. You are really shameless. Lin Yun said with contempt. Cut. Song Hwan snorted disdainfully and focused on driving. Lin Yun looked at the scenery outside the window, thinking about his future path. Given his current situation, it was difficult for him to support himself, let alone find a job. He didn't know what to do. Oh. Lin Yun sighed, his heart filled with endless loneliness. He felt like a stray dog with nowhere to go. He didn't know what to do. What's wrong? Are you troubled? Song Hwan looked at Lin Yun and asked. It's okay, I'm just expressing my feelings. Lin Yun shook his head and said. By the way, where is the girl you grew up with? Are you talking about Wang Shanshan? Yeah. Song Hwan nodded. Lin Yun was silent for a while before saying, we broke up. Song Hwan looked at Lin Yun without saying anything. She knew that what Lin Yun said must be the truth. He had indeed broken up with Wang Shanshan, because Song Hwan had already seen it from Lin Yun's expression. That little girl really has no vision. Song Hwan sighed in her heart. You haven't told me why you broke up with her. It seems like you've been together for almost 8 years. Song Hwan continued to ask. Lin Yun did not answer her question directly, but changed the subject and asked, where do you live? How long will it take us to get there? It's almost there, we'll be there in 5 minutes. Song Hwan said, looking ahead. Lin Yun didn't say anything, just staring out the window. About 10 minutes later, they arrived in front of an independent villa. After parking the car, Song Hwan got out first. Lin Yun also got out of the car soon after. Chapter 22 Testing Your Skills. We're here. This is my home. Let's live here first. Song Hwan said and pointed to the door of her house. Lin Yun looked up at the house. This apartment is ordinary, but very beautiful. Lin Yun nodded and followed Song Hwan into the room. While Lin Yun was not paying attention, Song Hwan suddenly punched Lin Yun, intending to scare him. Unexpectedly, Lin Yun grabbed Song Hwan's wrist and pushed her down on the sofa with his other hand. Seeing that she was being bullied, Song Hwan immediately jumped up and pounced on Lin Yun, looking like she wanted to bite Lin Yun. Lin Yun glanced at Song Hwan, then hugged her tightly in his arms. The two looked at each other, and Lin Yun looked at Song Hwan, whom he was holding, and quickly let go of her hand. Sister Hwan, what are you doing? Lin Yun asked with some confusion. Of course I want to test your skills and see if you have regressed. Song Hwan deliberately made a provocative gesture while speaking. No, I'm fine. Lin Yun answered affirmatively. It's best if you don't retreat. Watch out. While speaking, Song Hwan attacked Lin Yun again. However, this time Lin Yun was prepared and he easily dodged Song Hwan's attack. Seeing that Lin Yun dodged her attack so easily, Song Hwan felt a little depressed. She looked at Lin Yun and said, Lin Yun, I'm going to use all my strength now. Song Hwan threw a flying kick, and Lin Yun quickly dodged, but Lin Yun's speed was obviously much slower. Although he dodged Song Hwan's attack, he did not completely dodge it. Lin Yun was kicked hard in the chest. Hiss! Lin Yun couldn't help but take a breath. The kick caused her so much pain that her chest felt like it was hit hard by a hammer. Sister Hwan, you are really awesome. Lin Yun said to Song Hwan, covering his chest. It's fine, but are you okay? It's okay. Lin Yun waved his hand, he stood up and got ready. He wanted to have a good fight with Song Hwan. After not seeing each other for such a long time, Lin Yun really missed that kind of exhilarating fight. Lin Yun watched Song Hwan get ready, he clamped his legs together, rolled sideways and came behind Song Hwan. Song Hwan didn't expect Lin Yun to come behind her suddenly, she turned around and kicked Lin Yun in the stomach. Her kick was fierce, but it was easily resolved by Lin Yun. Song Hwan's legs were caught by Lin Yun. She struggled hard for a few times, but she couldn't get rid of Lin Yun's restraints. Lin Yun took her arms around her waist and pressed her on the sofa. Song Hwan's face was pressed against Lin Yun's chest. Song Hwan's ears were tightly pressed against Lin Yun's chest. She smelled the familiar scent on Lin Yun's body, and her heartbeat suddenly accelerated. Lin Yun felt the soft touch in his arms, and he felt his whole body getting hot. Lin Yun's breathing became heavy and rapid. "Sister Hwan, let's not fight anymore. I give up." Lin Yun let go of Song Hwan and said while panting. "By the way, where is the bathroom? Turn left in front." Song Hwan pointed to the bathroom and said, "Okay." Lin Yun said and ran towards the bathroom. He ran into the bathroom and closed the door. He leaned against the door and touched his face. He thought he should wash it first to calm himself down. After Lin Yun washed his face, he came out and looked at Song Hwan and asked, "Sister Hwan, which room should I stay in? You can sleep next to me. This house has 2 rooms." Song Hwan stretched out her hand and gestured. "Okay, thank you, Sister Hwan." Lin Yun nodded and walked towards his room. Song Hwan sat on the sofa, picked up the computer, and checked her mailbox. She saw a new text message in the mailbox. She opened the message and read it. The content of the message was a film with a middle-aged man sitting in a wheelchair. She slid the mouse wheel and saw the task arrangement. Mission content: kill Jo Yun, reward 3 million. Seeing this task, Song Hwan couldn't help but frowned. She originally thought that she could come back and stay for a while longer this time, but she didn't expect to have to go to work again. However, she had no choice. After all, this was her duty. Lin Yun walked into the room and lay on the bed, thinking about what he should do to support himself in the future. His cell phone suddenly rang. Lin Yun took it out and saw that it was a call from Chaoshan phone. He looked at the name on it, hesitated for a moment, and then pressed the answer button. "Hello." Lin Yun spoke. "Brother Lin, do you still remember me? We met in the bar. I'm Shu Lei's classmate." A girl's voice came from the phone. "What's wrong? Is there anything wrong?" Lin Yun asked. "It's like this, Brother Lin, can you come over? Shu Lei is surrounded." The girl spoke with a crying voice, and it seemed that she was in trouble. "Okay, I get it. Where are you?" Lin Yun asked. "It's still the same bar as before. I'll wait for you at the door." After knowing the address, Lin Yun hung up the phone, stood up and walked out of the room, looking at Song Hwan who was sitting on the sofa and said, "Sister Hwan, my friend was surrounded in the bar. I'm going to deal with it. Can you lend me your car?" "Okay, here's the key." Lin Yun took the key, walked down the stairs, drove away in Song Hwan's BMW, and sped towards the bar where Shu Lei was surrounded. He arrived very quickly, and after getting off the car he walked quickly towards the bar. When Lin Yun arrived at the door of the bar he saw from afar that Shu Lei was being beaten up by several thugs, with tears still flowing from the corners of his mouth, and it seemed that he was not taking it lightly. "Stop, let him go." Lin Yun walked outside the crowd and shouted loudly. The people who were beating up Shu Lei heard someone meddling in their business and turned around to look at Lin Yun. At this time, the girl who was waiting for Lin Yun to come over came over. "Brother Lin, you finally came. They were the ones who beat Shu Lei. Kid, who the hell are you? How dare you meddle in my business?" A gangster with dyed green hair glared at Lin Yun and cursed, his eyes measuring Lin Yun. "Get out of the way, this is my friend." Lin Yun yelled at the gangster. "So what if you're my friend? You'll be beaten if you don't pay for soiling my brother's clothes." The green-haired thug insisted. "You wish for compensation?" Lin Yun said with a sneer. "MD, I think you are looking for a beating. Come on, brothers, teach this guy a lesson." The green-haired gangster shouted loudly. Lin Yun pulled Shu Lei, who was lying on the ground, up and walked to the girl and said, "Take Shu Lei to the side to rest for a while, leave this to me." "Yeah." The girl responded and walked to the side with Shu Lei. Seeing this, the green-haired gangster immediately shouted, "What are you all standing there for? Come on." Hearing the green-haired gangster's words, several gangsters rushed towards Lin Yun. Lin Yun snorted coldly, then rushed towards the gangsters waving his fists. After a few punches, the gangsters lay on the ground, and were beaten to the ground one by Lin Yun. Chapter 23 Meeting. Seeing Lin Yun so majestic, the girl next to him was stunned. It was not until Lin Yun turned his head that the girl realized that Lin Yun had already dealt with all the gangsters. "What's your name?" Lin Yun asked the girl. "Leuren," the girl replied. "Oh," Lin Yun nodded. He looked at the hooligans lying on the ground and groaned and said, "You guys, get out of here. If I see you harassing my friends again, I will kill you." After hearing what Lin Yun said, the gangsters couldn't help but shiver. They looked at each other, and finally they got up and ran away. After the gangsters left, Lin Yun said to Xu Lei and the girl sitting next to him, "Let's go. I'll take you to the hospital to check your wounds and avoid leaving scars." As he said that, Lin Yun helped Xu Lei and the girl up and walked outside. Lin Yun drove his BMW towards a nearby hospital. After arriving at the hospital, Xu Lei and the girl were sent to the examination room for examination. Lin Yun waited outside. He went to the corridor to smoke a cigarette, then lit up another one and started smoking. Not long after, the door of the examination room opened and Lin Yun walked out. The examination report came out quickly. Lin Yun took a look and saw that it was just a skin injury and nothing serious. After reading the report, Lin Yun breathed a sigh of relief. He looked at the girl and said, "Let's check it out too. Such a beautiful girl will definitely be easily scarred." "I'm fine, just a scratch on my arm," Leuren said with a smile. "Then you should go check it out right away." The examination results came out quickly, and it was found that the girl had indeed cut her arm, but it was not serious. After a while, Xu Lei's examination results came out. The doctor took an X-ray of Xu Lei and said a lot of professional terms. Lin Yun was overwhelmed after listening to them. Fortunately, Xu Lei was only slightly injured and there was nothing serious. He only needed to rest for a period of time to recover. After the doctor left, Lin Yun sat next to Xu Lei and said, "The doctor said that you are fine and you will be fine after a few days of rest." "Thank you, Brother Lin," Xu Lei said to Lin Yun gratefully. "Why are you being so polite? We are friends after all. You don't have to be so polite. Since there's nothing else, I'll go back first." After saying hello to Xu Lei, Lin Yun left the hospital. It was already 11 o'clock in the evening when he returned to Song Huan's house. Lin Yun returned to the apartment and found Song Huan sitting on the sofa waiting for him. "Sister Huan, why haven't you slept yet?" Lin Yun said to Song Huan. "I'm not waiting for you," Song Huan said with a smile as she looked at Lin Yun. "Me?" Lin Yun looked at Song Huan in confusion and asked, "Why are you waiting for me? I'm opening the door for you. Otherwise, how would you get in without even a key?" Song Huan said to Lin Yun. "Oh." After hearing what Song Huan said, Lin Yun scratched his head awkwardly and said, "Okay, go to bed early. Good night." Then Lin Yun turned and left. Song Huan looked at Lin Yun's back and couldn't help but smile bitterly and shook her head, muttering to herself, "I really can't do anything about you." After that, she stood up and walked towards the bedroom. The next morning, Lin Yun got up early. He was going to look for a house and move out of the sad place. After getting dressed, he walked out of the apartment and bought 2 breakfasts on the roadside and brought them back. He gave one breakfast to Song Huan and one to himself. After breakfast, Lin Yun drove Song Huan's car back to the sad place. Lin Yun took out the key, opened the door, and walked in. Looking at the mess in the house, he couldn't help but frowned and began to clean. He looked at the things placed in the house, and none of Wang Shanshan's belongings were there. Lin Yun couldn't help but sigh. "It seems that she has wanted to break up with me for a long time, otherwise she wouldn't have moved out all her things overnight." Thinking of this, Lin Yun couldn't help but feel a lot of emotion in his heart. After Lin Yun tidied up, he came to their room. There was only a pair of bedding they had covered themselves with before and his clothes left in the room. Nothing else was left. He packed up his things and threw them all into the trash. After packing up, he called the landlord and asked him to come over to inspect the house. Half an hour later, the landlord came to the house rented by Lin Yun and saw that the house had been cleaned by Lin Yun. He nodded with satisfaction. "The house is very clean. This is the deposit you gave me. I'm returning it to you now." The landlord took out 2,000 yuan and handed it to Lin Yun. Lin Yun took the deposit, said goodbye to the landlord, took his things and walked down the stairs, put them in the trunk of the car, and then drove away. After leaving the sad place, Lin Yun drove the car to the foot of a mountain in the suburbs and parked the car at the foot of the mountain. He unlocked the car and walked up the mountain. Lin Yun has always known that the scenery on the mountain is beautiful, but he has never had the time to appreciate it. Now that he has such an opportunity, how can he miss it? He climbed along a path towards the top of the mountain, and soon, Lin Yun reached the top of the mountain. There was a platform on the top of the mountain with many vines and trees on it. Lin Yun stood on the platform, looking at the scenery in the distance with a bright smile on his face. He closed his eyes and quietly enjoyed the tranquility. Lin Yun stood on the top of the mountain for more than 2 hours. When he opened his eyes revealed a hint of determination. The corners of Lin Yun's mouth curved into an arc. I have decided. I want to change the trajectory of my life. After saying that, he took out a photo from his bag. The photo was a picture of him and Wang Shanshan. He set the photo on fire and burned it. After the photo was burned to ashes, he blew it away with the wind, and it floated in the air. After doing all this, Lin Yun turned and left the platform, walking towards the foot of the mountain. The phone rang. He took it out and looked at it. It was an unfamiliar number. He hesitated for a moment and answered the call and said, "Who is this?" "I am Leuren. I think we are both victims and should meet." Leuren said to Lin Yun indifferently. "We can talk about Wei Dongqiang and Wang Shanshan." When Lin Yun heard the other party say this, he guessed that the other party was Wei Dongqiang's wife. Lin Yun hesitated for a while and then agreed. After hanging up the phone, he planned to meet Leuren. After all, he was an insider about the matter, and it would be very rude if he didn't meet Leuren. After they agreed on the time and place, they hung up the phone and Lin Yun walked down the mountain. Chapter 24 Cooperation. Leuren hung up the phone, went downstairs, drove to the coffee shop, and waited for Lin Yun to arrive. After Lin Yun picked up the car from the parking space, he drove towards the coffee shop. As soon as he entered the coffee shop, a young man in a white shirt and suit pants immediately approached him. "What do you need, sir?" "Give me a latte," Lin Yun said to the waiter. "Please wait a moment." The waiter nodded to Lin Yun and turned away. Lin Yun looked around. He had never seen Leuren and didn't know what she looked like. He took out his cell phone and made a call. Soon, he received a reply from Leuren. Leuren stood up and waved towards Lin Yun, motioning Lin Yun to come over. After seeing Leuren, Lin Yun walked over. Sitting in his seat, Lin Yun looked at Leuren and asked, "What do you want to know?" Leuren looked at Lin Yun with a sneer on his face. "Mr. Lin, my husband is having an affair with your girlfriend, don't you care at all?" Lin Yun's face suddenly darkened when he heard Leuren's words. Leuren looked at Lin Yun and continued, "I didn't mean to provoke you. I think you are a smart person. You should know what I want to do by inviting you here." After hearing Leuren's words, Lin Yun was silent for a moment, then said, "Tell me, what do you want to do?" "It's simple. I want you to know everything that happened between the two of them." "Why do you think I should tell you what I know?" Lin Yun looked at Leuren. Leuren heard this and a sarcastic smile appeared on her lips. She snorted and said, "We are all victims. And don't forget how Wei Dongqiang exploited you when you were at work." Hearing Leuren remind him, Lin Yun's mind flashed back to his past work days. He was angry, and he decided to tell Leuren everything he knew. He took a deep breath and said, "Okay, I can help you." Leuren looked at Lin Yun and saw a satisfied smile on his face. He said, "Okay, then tell me everything you know first, and then I'll explain it in detail." "Okay." Lin Yun nodded. "I have the video of Wei Dongqiang and Wang Shanshan's affair, photos of every place they went, and documents showing Wei Dongqiang's bribery in projects he participated in at Nanguo Industrial Group. I don't have them with me, so I'll send them to you when I get back." Lin Yun said calmly. "Yes." Leuren nodded. He looked at Lin Yun and said, "Mr. Lin, thank you for telling me everything you know. We are in the same boat. If you need anything in the future, just ask. As long as I can help you, I will definitely do my best to help you." "Okay." After the two chatted for about 10 minutes, Leuren got up and left. Then Lin Yun finished the last sip of coffee in the cup and followed her out of the cafe. Lin Yun returned to the car, started the engine and returned to the apartment. He carried his suitcase to the door and knocked. He didn't know whether Song Hwan was at home. After a while, the door slowly opened from the inside. Song Hwan, who was wearing taekwondo training clothes, so that it was Lin Yun who came back. She quickly stretched out her legs and put her left leg on Lin Yun's shoulder. She retracted her left leg and raised her right leg and kicked towards Lin Yun's chest. Lin Yun looked at Song Hwan's attack. He picked up the suitcase he was pushing and used it to block himself, then dodged Song Hwan's attack. After throwing the suitcase aside, he grabbed Song Hwan's arms with both hands and shook them hard, but Song Hwan broke free from Lin Yun's hands, then turned around and threw Lin Yun to the ground. She looked at Lin Yun and asked, "How about it, am I awesome?" Lin Yun got up from the ground, rubbed his sore neck, looked at Song Hwan and said, "You are amazing. By the way, when did you learn Taekwondo?" Hearing Lin Yun's question, Song Hwan said with a smile, "I learned it during the past few years abroad, but I didn't practice it much. So that's how it is. By the way, next time I come back, can you please not have this kind of sudden stimulation? I can't stand it." Lin Yun said with a wry smile. Song Hwan smiled when she heard Lin Yun's words, "Don't worry, I won't sneak attack you next time." After that, she stretched out her right hand and patted Lin Yun's shoulder. Lin Yun smiled and nodded, then pushed the suitcase back to the room. After walking into the room, he took his suitcase into the room and placed it under the bed, then took out his cell phone and looked at the recruitment information. He wanted to find a job. He looked at the recruitment information in his hand and frowned slightly. What the hell is on this? It makes him speechless. He then opened the web page and browsed it, and the content he browsed was even more deceptive. Lin Yun closed the web page directly, lay on the bed, and looked at the ceiling. He was thinking about what kind of job he should look for. This question troubled him very much. If he doesn't want to work in the real estate industry anymore, what other jobs can he find? Lin Yun looked out the window and suddenly thought of his parents. What were they doing at home? Should he take some time to go back? Thinking of this, Lin Yun took out his mobile phone and dialed his father's number. "Hello." The phone rang for a long time before it was picked up, and a female voice came from the phone. But he was stunned when he heard the voice on the phone. This voice was not his mother's, so he asked, "Who are you? Where is my dad?" "Hello, I'm Mr. Lin's secretary. Are you the young master?" "Yes, I am. Boss Lin is in a meeting. Is there anything I can say to you, master? How about I pass it on?" "No need, I'll call my dad later." After saying that, Lin Yun hung up the phone. Huang Shanshan sat at her workstation, browsing web pages boredly. She no longer had the same working state as before. She decided to tell Wei Dongqiang that she didn't want to continue working in this company. As he said that, he took out his phone and called Wei Dongqiang. Wei Dongqiang was looking at documents in the office. When he saw that it was Huang Shanshan calling, he put down the documents and answered the phone. "Hey, husband, what are you doing?" Huang Shanshan's voice was full of tenderness and charm. Wei Dongqiang heard Huang Shanshan's words and replied, "I'm processing the documents, what's wrong?" "I want to resign." Huang Shanshan said. "I don't want to stay in this company anymore. I want to go to your place so that I can see you every day." When Wei Dongqiang heard Huang Shanshan say this, he thought for a moment and said, "Okay, then come to my place tomorrow." Hearing Wei Dongqiang agree, Huang Shanshan nodded excitedly and then hung up the phone. He stood up and walked to the Human Resources Department, threw his resignation letter on the table, and left without looking back. After walking out of the office and going downstairs, Huang Shanshan hailed a taxi and returned to the apartment. Chapter 25. Stop talking nonsense. Lin Yun flipped through the folders on his phone and sent all the video files and pictures he had downloaded from Wei Dongqiang's computer that day to Leuren. After sending it, he called Leuren. "I sent it to your email, take a look at it yourself and tell me what you want to do." "Okay, I understand." Leuren hung up the phone. She sat on the sofa, saw the computer on the table, clicked the mouse to open the email, and looked at the content of the email sent by Lin Yun. Leuren clicked in and started reading what Lin Yun sent her. A video file came into Leuren's eyes. This video was an obscene video of Wei Dongqiang and Huang Shanshan. She stared at the screen, reluctant to blink, for fear of missing any of the footage. "I never thought that Wei Dongqiang and Huang Shanshan would do such a dirty thing." Seeing this, Leuren was very angry. She clenched her fists and pounded the coffee table hard, making a bang-bang sound from her pounding. "Wei Dongqiang, you bastard!" Leuren cursed angrily. She was so angry that her whole body was shaking and her eyes were red. She had never been so angry as she was now, and had never imagined that Wei Dongqian was such a despicable man. She always thought that Wei Dongqian was just a philandering and irresponsible man, but she never expected that Wei Dongqian would do such a dirty thing. She could never have imagined this. She stood up and walked to the window, took a deep breath to calm herself down, and Leuren decided to start her plan to leave Wei Dongqian with nothing. Leuren took out her cell phone and called Wang Xingjie. "Don't you always want to be with me? Leuren, are you serious?" Wang Xingjie was very excited when he heard Leuren say this. "Of course it's true, but I want you to promise me one thing," Leuren said with a sneer. "What is it?" "I will definitely help you if I can. As long as you tell me what you want, I will do it." Leuren's mouth curled up into an evil smile, and she slowly said, "Well, help me teach Wei Dongqian a lesson." "You want me to help you teach Wei Dongqian a lesson?" Wang Xingjie was stunned when he heard Leuren say this. "Yes." Leuren answered affirmatively, "I just want you to help me teach Wei Dongqian a lesson." "But," Wang Xingjie said hesitantly, "isn't that your husband? Are you guys having a quarrel? Stop talking nonsense." "Okay, I got it," Wang Xingjie said and hung up the phone. Leuren looked at the hung up phone, a sinister smile appearing on the corner of her mouth. "Wei Dongqian, just wait." She swore secretly in her heart. She must do what she wants to do. Since Wei Dongqian dared to betray her, she will never let Wei Dongqian have an easy time. Lin Yun was sitting on the sofa watching TV while Song Huan was practicing yoga beside him. At this time, his phone rang. He picked up the phone and looked at the name on the screen. It was his father calling him. He picked up the phone. "Hello, what's up, Dad?" "You little brat, you just called me and asked me something." Lin Dong's voice came over. "Oh." Lin Yun scratched his head awkwardly. He was just watching Song Huan practicing yoga. "Dad, I miss you so much. How are you doing?" Lin Yun said flatteringly. "Humph, you have a conscience." Lin Dong snorted and said, "By the way, when are you and Shanshan going to get married?" "Shanshan and I." Lin Yun said with some difficulty, let's not rush for now." "Why aren't you in a hurry? You've been together for 8 years. It won't be good to drag it on like this." Lin Yun wanted to say that he had broken up with Wang Shanshan, but he didn't know how to start. "This. Why, is there anything you can't hide?" Lin Dong asked. "Well, there are indeed some unspeakable secrets." "Tell me what the reason is." "Dad, listen to me and I will tell you slowly. Don't get excited yet. Don't get angry after I finish talking to you. You go first." "Actually, Shanshan and I broke up." Lin Yun briefly explained to his father the reason for breaking up with Wang Shanshan. Hearing his father's question, Lin Yun didn't know what to say. After knowing why Lin Yun and Wang Shanshan broke up, Lin Dong felt very disappointed. He sighed and said to Lin Yun, "Forget it, this matter can't be blamed on you, but also on the daughter of the Huang family. When will you come back? Your grandpa and grandma miss you." "I plan to go back after a while," Lin Yun said. "Then let's wait for a while." Lin Dong nodded. "Oh, right." Lin Dong suddenly thought of something and said to Lin Yun, "If you can't make it out there, come back and inherit the family business." After saying this, Lin Dong hung up the phone without giving Lin Yun any room to refute. Lin Yun was stunned for a long while. He didn't expect his father to say such a thing. When he heard the call was hung up, he shook his head helplessly. He sighed and put his phone down. "What's wrong?" Song Huan's voice sounded in Lin Yun's ears. She stopped practicing, stood up and looked at Lin Yun. "It's nothing. My dad said that if I can't make it out there, I should go back and inherit the family business." Lin Yun shrugged helplessly. "Then why are you still hesitating? Go back quickly." Song Huan said with a smile, "It would be great to go back and be a rich second generation, right, Master Lin?" "TSK, forget it." Lin Yun responded to Song Huan and said, "I'll go back to my room and rest for a while. Call me for dinner in the evening." After that, he walked towards his room. Lin Yun returned to his bedroom, lay on the bed and closed his eyes to rest. He didn't know when he fell asleep. When he woke up, it was already 8 o'clock in the evening. He opened his eyes and looked at the ceiling. He felt a little dizzy and couldn't help but rub his forehead. He walked to the bathroom and washed his face to sober himself up. After washing, he walked out of the bathroom and looked at the lights in the living room. He asked in confusion, "Where's Sister Juan?" No one responded to him. Lin Yun frowned, turned around and knocked on Song Juan's bedroom door. "Sister Juan, Sister Juan." After knocking a few times and hearing no one paying attention to him, Lin Yun pushed the door open and found that there was no one in the room. He went to the living room again, turned on the light, and found a note on the sofa. He picked up the note and opened it to see what was written on it. "Master Lin Da, I have to go out for something. I won't be back tonight, so you can take care of your dinner by yourself." Lin Yun took a look at the note Song Juan left for him and shook his head speechlessly. This girl is really enough. Chapter 26. Life is unpredictable. On the rooftop, a woman in a black tight stood there, holding a silver dagger in her hand. The sharp blade reflected the light, and a cold light flashed on her fair and slender arms. Song Juan took a look at the photo, and according to the message sent by the killer organization, she quietly came to the floor where the target lived. She looked around and walked towards the stairwell after seeing no problems. As she approached the corridor, she heard footsteps. Song Juan quickly hid behind the stairs. Four tall and strong men walked down the stairs. These men looked like bodyguards. Song Juan watched the four men walking towards the stairs and quickly hid aside. She glanced at the silver dagger in her hand, gently placed it on her waist, glanced at the stairs, and quickly ran upstairs. The bodyguards did not notice all this. They went to the top floor to patrol. Song Juan came to the 28th floor, found the room and prepared to take action. At this moment, the door suddenly opened and Song Juan hurriedly hid to the side. Two people walked out of the room, one of whom was Song Juan's target of assassination. After Song Juan saw the target's appearance clearly, she then looked at another person. This person was the leader of the bodyguards. The bodyguard looked at the time. Half an hour had passed and no killer had come to attack them. He frowned and turned away. Only after watching the bodyguard walk away did Song Juan breathe a sigh of relief, and she quickly rushed into the room where the target was. At this moment, the target was lying on the bed resting. He heard the sound, opened his eyes, and saw a girl wearing a black tights and a pair of sunglasses rushing in. The girl also had a mask on her face. When she saw that he woke up, she pounced on him without hesitation. He was stunned and quickly got up and dodged. The dagger in Song Juan's hand slashed directly at him, and he quickly used the pistol in his hand to block Song Juan's attack. Song Juan did a roundhouse kick and kicked the man in the head. The man was startled and immediately blocked Song Juan's feet with his gun. At the moment when the two men were fighting, Song Juan suddenly stretched out her right hand to take the pistol, and then she punched the man in the chest. After the man was hit in the chest, he was knocked flying and fell to the ground. Song Juan hurriedly chased forward and stepped on the man's chest. The man raised his head and looked at Song Juan. He gritted his teeth and hit Song Juan in the abdomen with all his strength. After Song Juan was hit in the stomach, she flew backwards, hit the wall hard, and then slid down. She covered her stomach, feeling the pain, got up from the ground, and continued to struggle with the man. What she didn't expect was that this target was so powerful that he almost killed her with just one move. Her mind was working quickly, thinking about what she should do. "Who arranged for you to come here?" Zhou Yun asked Song Juan. Song Juan gritted her teeth and didn't answer. "If you don't tell me, I will kill you now." Zhou Yun looked at Song Juan and threatened. Song Juan looked at the situation around her. The door was not closed when she came in. If she didn't find a way to escape from here, the bodyguards of the man in front of her would be here soon. Song Juan suddenly gave a weird smile. "What are you laughing at?" Zhou Yun asked Song Juan. Song Juan smiled and then rushed towards Zhou Yun. She kicked her legs hard, her body flew into the air, and kicked Zhou Yun in the neck. Zhou Yun was stunned and quickly stretched out his hand to block it. The kick hit his left wrist right away. With a snap, his left hand was broken and his left wrist bone was shattered by Song Juan. The veins on Zhou Yun's face were exposed due to the pain. His face was pale. Song Juan's move worked. She didn't give Zhou Yun any chance to react and kicked him with a whip-like kick. Zhou Yun was unable to dodge and was hit by Song Juan, sending him flying backwards. There was blood at the corner of his mouth. Song Juan quickly picked up the pistol that Zhou Yun dropped on the ground and shot in his direction. With a bang, Zhou Yun's head was blown up. Looking at the dead target, Song Juan took out her cell phone to take a photo, wiped the fingerprints off the pistol, breathed a sigh of relief, and quickly walked out of the room. The bodyguard who heard the gunshot rushed over quickly. Song Hwan did not dare to stop, she quickly ran into the elevator. Her heart was still beating very fast. When she thought of the scene just now, she still felt scared. Fortunately, she ran fast. If she was a step slower, she would probably have been beaten into a hornet's nest. Thinking of this, she couldn't help but touch her abdomen. The wound here is still bleeding. Song Hwan checked the wound while running. She looked at the knife scar on her arm and couldn't help but gasp. After getting off the elevator, Song Hwan quickly ran towards the parking spot. After getting into the car, Song Hwan quickly started the car and sped forward. She held the steering wheel with one hand and changed her clothes with the other. When the car was halfway through the journey, a large truck suddenly blocked her way. Song Hwan panicked and braked quickly, but due to inertia, the car still moved forward. Squeak! With a loud bang, the car hit the truck and the whole car was knocked away. Song Hwan was thrown out. She felt as if her whole body was falling apart. The severe pain made sweat break out on her forehead. Damn it, life is so unpredictable. Why do I always encounter things like this? Song Hwan couldn't help but curse. The fall made Song Hwan sober up a little. She endured the severe pain and got out of the car. Her right hand was still bleeding, but fortunately her cell phone was not broken. She quickly picked up the phone and dialed 120, then called Lin Yun, telling him that she had been in a car accident and asked him to come and pick her up. After hanging up the phone, she stood on the roadside waiting for the ambulance to arrive. Fortunately, the bodyguards did not follow, and the car was already on fire. Song Hwan looked at the truck next to her and found that it had overturned. She was standing on the side of the road. The residents nearby had already called the police and the police were rushing to the scene. Not long after, the ambulance finally arrived and Song Hwan quickly got on it. Song Hwan's wound was very deep. After the hospital sent her to the emergency room, the doctor pushed her directly into the operating room. Lin Yun came to the hospital and stood at the door waiting for news. Looking at the red light above the operating room, his heart was filled with anxiety. He didn't know what had happened to Song Hwan and hoped that Song Hwan would be okay. Lin Yun sat on the bench. Soon the police officer came over. Lin Yun walked up to him and asked, "Officer, what's going on?" "Let's come over and find out the situation," the police officer said to Lin Yun. Soon, several police officers came over and inquired about the situation. They confirmed that the car was out of control, and after talking to Lin Yun, they left the hospital. Chapter 27 Package. Lin Yun sat on the bench waiting, his heart hanging in the air, unable to relax for a moment. After an unknown amount of time, the red light in the operating room suddenly went out, and the door of the operating room was pushed open. Lin Yun quickly stood up and went over. A doctor in a white coat came out. "Doctor, how is she?" Lin Yun looked at the doctor and asked nervously. The doctor took off his mask and said, "She is out of danger for now. Her arm was scratched and the injury is quite serious. She needs to stay in bed for a while." Thank God. Lin Yun breathed a sigh of relief when he heard that Song Hwan's condition was not serious. He said quickly, "Thank you, doctor. Can I see her?" "Can." After the doctor left, Lin Yun immediately walked into the ward. Lin Yun walked into the ward. Song Hwan was lying on the bed. Her arm was wrapped in gauze and a tube was connected to her hand. She had her eyes closed. Song Hwan looked pale and weak. Lin Yun couldn't help but feel pity when he saw her like this. Song Hwan woke up and looked at her arm, frowning slightly. She turned around and saw Lin Yun standing next to her. Lin Yun smiled and said to her, "Sister Hwan, do you feel better?" "It's okay, my arm just hurts a little." "Then I'll help you up, sit up." Lin Yun held Song Hwan's arm and let her lean on the bed. Lin Yun put a pillow behind Song Hwan and let her lean on it. After Song Hwan sat down, he helped her cover the quilt. "Where were you doing last night? Why did you get into a car accident?" Lin Yun asked. Song Hwan wanted to talk about what happened last night, but when the words came to her lips, she swallowed them back. She didn't want to tell Lin Yun what happened last night, because she had gone to kill someone last night, and she was a member of a killer organization, and Song Hwan didn't want to implicate him. Seeing that Song Hwan hesitated to speak, Lin Yun guessed that Song Hwan might be hiding something. Lin Yun didn't force her. He said, "Since you don't want to talk, forget it." Have a good rest. If you have any questions, call the nurse. If you need anything, just press the call bell and the nurse will come right away. Well, thank you. Song Juan said softly. You're welcome, Sister Juan, you should have a good rest. After Lin finished speaking, he left the ward and left the hospital. Wei Dongqian sat on the bed and hugged Huang Shanshan, his eyes never leaving her. By the way, Shanshan, have you completed all the formalities? After I called you, I resigned and have been waiting for you to come back. By the way, when are you planning to divorce your wife? Huang Shanshan looked at Wei Dongqian and asked seriously. Let me arrange this matter first. I can't stay here with you tonight. I have to go back, Wei Dongqian said with a frown. What are you going back for? Huang Shanshan was stunned and asked. Silly boy, of course I went back to test Leuren's background. She has become suspicious of me since I didn't go home for several days. Wei Dongqian acted as if it was a matter of course, as if he had thought about it long ago. Oh, so that's the case. Will you be back tomorrow night? Baby, if nothing unexpected happens, I will definitely come back to be with you tomorrow night. Wei Dongqian said. His hands began to wander on Huang Shanshan's body again. Oh, that's annoying. Don't touch me with your hands. I haven't taken a shower yet. Huang Shanshan patted Wei Dongqian's hand coquettishly and said in a soft voice. My baby is so beautiful. Wei Dongqian kissed Huang Shanshan on the cheek. I'm going back first. I'll be with you tomorrow. After he finished speaking, Wei Dongqian stood up and put on his clothes. He suddenly remembered something he hadn't told Huang Shanshan yet, so he sat on the bed again and said to Huang Shanshan, I almost forgot. What is it? Come directly to the company tomorrow and I will arrange for you to be my secretary. Wei Dongqian said. Really? Huang Shanshan immediately became happy when she heard Wei Dongqian's words. Of course it's true. How could I lie to you about such a thing? Just cooperate with my work. Wei Dongqian said with a smile on his face. Huang Shanshan nodded. After saying this, Wei Dongqian stood up, left the room, and drove back to his other home. Leuren was still awake at this time. As soon as Wei Dongqian came home, Leuren came to greet him. Seeing Wei Dongqian, Leuren was very angry, but in order not to affect what happened later, she held back. Why have you been so busy lately? You haven't come back for several days. Leuren complained. Although her tone was not particularly good, there was a gentle smile on her face. Wei Dongqian looked at Leuren and felt very proud. He walked to the sofa, sat down, and crossed his legs. Some things in the company were quite difficult to deal with, so I didn't have much time to come back, Wei Dongqian explained. Oh, so that's how it is. I thought you were fooling around with that little vixen again. Leuren said with a pout. How dare I, honey? I'm back to accompany you. Wei Dongqian said. Leuren was very pleased with Wei Dongqian's words. She showed a satisfied expression on her face, but she was acting for Wei Dongqian. She wanted to slap him directly. I'm tired. I'm going to take a shower first. Wei Dongqian said. Wait a minute, there's a package for you. It was sent the day before yesterday and I haven't opened it yet, so I don't know what's in it. Leuren said, then walked to the shoe rack at the door, picked up a package and handed it to Wei Dongqian. Wei Dongqian reached out to take it, and took a look at the package label. It did not clearly state where it was sent from. He frowned, wondering, what was this? Leuren saw Wei Dongqian holding the package and walked back to the room, leaving the door a crack. This package was prepared by her in the morning. Leuren did not expect Wei Dongqian to come back today. The package contained photos and a USB drive, which contained indecent photos and videos of Wei Dongqian and Huang Shanshan. Wei Dongqian tore open the package, revealing 10 photos and a USB flash drive. He picked up the photos and saw that they were photos of him and Huang Shanshan in the hotel, and another photo of them hugging each other in bed. When Wei Dongqian saw the photos, he froze in his tracks. Who sent this? Wei Dongqian murmured in panic, not daring to think too deeply. He looked back at the room and saw Leuren lying on the bed playing with her phone. Wei Dongqian thought, if Leuren saw this, it would be bad. Honey, what's in the package? No, nothing. Wei Dongqian quickly stuffed the photo in his pocket, turned around and looked at the door of the room, and said, the USB drive I bought has arrived. I'll take a shower first. After saying that, Wei Dongqiang hurried into the bathroom and closed the bedroom door.